I just sat there for like 6 seconds and processed it. And I was like, you know what? I'm fucking out of here. And I left and driving home in the car. I never had a better feeling than that.
What would you say is the greatest high?
We went all the way down the road to hedonism and documented it, you know? So I think I'm going to probably read the Quran.
So you would consider being a Muslim?
To me, like, my moral code keeps me on track. That's my religion. Do the right thing. You know what it is.
So marriage is out the question for you, out of the question, no interest at all?
Unless she's a billionaire, you know what I mean? I'm like, you got any guns? Like, can we buy a gun? He's like, no, but we can buy dynamite.
How old are you at this time? 13?
13, yeah.
And you're interested in guns at 13?
Oh, I was like 6, I got my first gun. %1 tax on tea. That's why we have this country. Come a long way from there.
What's your point?
My point is that, you know, we should stop putting up with this bullshit. And they're pushing division, and they're pushing a degradation of moral fiber. I don't give a who it is. I'm saying who is in charge should have some responsibility.
Everything you're saying, I don't disagree with the things that you're saying. For me, it's what's the solution?
She was like one of the most hated people. Like, how she even got the nomination is beyond me. Like, how they didn't give it a big mic is crazy. Like,
you announced you're running for office in 2015. It sounds like you're going to run again. I mean, yeah.
Today, I'm very excited to sit down with businessman and former professional poker player Dan Bilzerian. Now, while he's famous for his wild and luxurious lifestyle that has attracted millions on social media, Dan recently shared with me that he has stepped away from the spotlight to reflect on his life, the effect of non-stop partying on his life. We talked about addiction, how to talk to women. In this interview, Dan talks about his journey from living as a playboy to finding true happiness. Let's just get right into it.
30 seconds.
Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
So Dan, question for you. Typically, when people think about following you, they'll see the videos with the girls, with the yachts, with the shooting, with all the crazy stuff that you do. You've been a little bit low-key lately. And a picture came out, you know, hey, I'm married, you know, you kind of fool people. But what's been happening with Dan lately? Because we're not seeing the same old Dan.
Yeah, so I was pretty crazy, and then COVID hit, and I took that time, and I was like, I'm going to write my book. So spent, I don't know, 18 months, 2 years writing the book and doing the edits, mostly the edits. And then after that, I kind of like, you know, had a little bit of a backslide. During that time, I realized like the hedonistic stuff wasn't really making me happy. Like, I looked at all the stuff that I did in my life, things that made me happy, things that didn't. And I kind of like just beat all my addictions at that time. I beat my sex addiction, my weed addiction, you know, gambling, all the stuff. And I just realized that, you know, the hedonistic treadmill wasn't the answer. I mean, it was fun. It was pleasure-seeking stuff. What caused the stop?
What caused for you to, I mean, you're going 1,000,000 miles an hour. So what caused you to say, I want to slow this thing down?
So, you know, initially I started off going pretty strong about 2012. And that was kind of when I like started getting famous. And I went really hard till 16. That was kind of like my rock star time. And then I got a girlfriend till 17. And I had like a, you know, year to reflect and kind of like go on a couple vacations and do normal shit. And I was way happier doing that. And then at the end of that year, I kind of, you know, weed became legal, and I'm still like, you know, getting people coming up to me all the time, all corners of the earth. And I just realized like I should turn this into something, you know, like I should monetize this in some way. If I'm taking pictures in every fucking, you know, like Costco for the rest of my life, I'm gonna be pissed off, you know, if I didn't do something with it. And so I started Ignite, and I felt like, you know, I smoked weed all the time. It was, you know, made sense. And it just, man, it was not the answer. The weed was not the answer. We ended up going to nicotine, and that did well. But the process of doing it was kind of like an amplification of everything that I'd done before. I kind of like just raised the bar on all of it. And it was fun, you know, but the the pleasure seeking has ends, like it's like a drug, like you can only eat so much Percocet, and then you got to eat more Percocet to get the same feeling. Then eventually you have to take it and not feel like shit. And pleasure seeking is similar, I think, when you chase money or you chase pussy or you chase all these things, there's not really like an end. I think you come to realize that, it's just not it's not the final answer to happiness. It's like, it's temporary stuff. It's fun. It's something that every guy should do to a point, but like, not like Hugh Hefner, where the guy was doing it till he was fucking 90, like surrounded by some retards that didn't even want to have sex with him. Like that, I saw that and I was just like, man, like, I don't want to do that.
That's not your aspiration. You're not looking at Hugh Hefner, because
it was like initially, growing up, I was like, the guy's the fucking man. He's doing it. He was like the original Playboy, and I always wanted to do that. But after I did it for a long period of time, I just realized like I had more fun hanging with my friends, having, interesting conversations, doing business, doing things like that created something like the rise up. I always felt like was better than the top of the mountain. I got to a lot of the tops of the mountains and I looked around and I was like, all right, it's cool. What's next? And, yeah.
Did you ever see his interview with William Buckley in 1966?
I didn't know.
So he's doing this interview explaining that the idea of monogamy comes after polygamy. And he's explaining this to Buckley. Buckley's a conservative guy. And then, the interview is going back and forth. I don't think man can be monogamous. I think man is polygamy. You almost got to get out of your system. And then the way they cut this video, it ends with him at the end of his career with 4 wives, saying the fact that he never became monogamous. So can you like see yourself with, we've read about it. Everyone's seen the videos. Hey, what's the most in a day? 9. How many have you been? 3. For how many days? This and all these numbers that you openly talk about. Can you actually see yourself being monogamous with just one?
So I've done it. Yeah, I've actually done monogamy. And I think it's, surprising as it is, like hearing it from me, I think it's a more natural state. Like, I think that if you really like a girl, I don't think it's worth the pain that it causes them to fuck other girls. Like for me, having sex with a bunch of girls doesn't really mean that much anymore. So I don't really care. I think if I was a guy that only had sex with, 3 girls his whole life and now a hot chick came along and she wanted to hook up with me, I think it would be a big deal and I'd probably regret that and I would think about that a lot. Mm-hmm. But at this point, I don't know. I just don't think it's that big a deal. And I think if a girl likes you for the right reasons, it's going to be tough. I mean, there are exceptions. Like there are, bisexual women and women that are cool with it and whatever. But I've found that for the most part, most women are not okay with it. And like I said, if you, are really into somebody, you kind of don't want to like put them through the pain. So I think monogamy is, as crazy as it is for me, a more natural way,
How long were you monogamous? The longest?
I think about a little under 2 years is probably the longest.
And this is in 2017, 2016, or?
I did monogamy for a year in 17, and then I did it for a year and a half in 20 to 21 and a half. And then I also did it before. I did it in like 2009 to 11. So like a couple of years.
2009 to 11.
Yeah.
Were you one of those, like, when you're in boot camp in the back, when you open up your closet that you put your stuff in, you're like, okay, 1 more week left, 1 more week. Were you like marching up?
No, that one was actually easy. But that was actually the relationship that just set me off the planet. So that was like a monogamous relationship. And when that didn't work out, I was like really in love with this girl. She had my name tattooed on her as a whole thing. And when that didn't work out, she was like, basically it came down to, she was going to move to LA to be, pursue modeling. And I didn't want her to do that. And that was kind of like the break, is like, I wasn't going to move to LA. And the funny thing is then I eventually ended up moving to LA and I became famous. And it was like a whole like Gatsby situation where like all the photo shoots that she would ever go on, like she would hear my name and I would be, banging her model friends. And it was just like, she couldn't get away from it. It was a whole thing. But she was, I think, the catalyst that kind of like set me off a little bit, because she actually, had started off Instagram and she was doing the whole like Playboy thing. And this is like back in 2011 when it was all starting out. So
did she break up with you, or you broke up with her?
I broke up with her because I didn't want to do the LA thing. I broke up with her like probably it was one of those things where I broke up with her like 18 times before
Makes
like
sense.
the final.
But those are the wives sometimes. That's who you end up marrying sometimes, like when you break up so many times.
Yeah.
Did anything happen afterwards? Like, have you guys linked up? Do you guys talk or nothing at all?
A little bit. Like I put one section of the book, like I invited her to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and then I ended up falling asleep in the middle of it, and she woke me up. I was like drooling on myself the whole thing. But yeah, I reconnected with her then, and then maybe one other time, but it was
nothing now. It's not something where you. So are you married now, or you're not married? So.
No. I went to a wedding, and I was kind of like, I put on the suit, and it was very strange for me because I'm always in shorts, and now it's kind of like I finally did it. I like dressed up and everything.
But you didn't. That was the best. Because everybody's sitting there saying, "This guy's finally married." They're writing about it.
Oh, they went crazy.
Yeah, that was great. So okay. So Dan, in the company I run, I've been in financial industry for 20 some years, and I experienced two different things with guys, and I'm curious to know what you'll say about this. Guys who got it out of their system early on and they had some fun, and then they got married, they didn't feel like they were missing out on anything.
Yep.
Okay. But guys that didn't have fun and then they had a lot of success, and let's just say they got married and then they had a lot of success, and maybe they had only been with 2 or 3 girls in their lives. Let's say 5 girls in their lives. Then they start making money. Then they're on stage. Then they're getting all this attention. They didn't know how to handle. Oh my God, I love the way you speak from stage. Oh my God, you're so this. Wow, you have such great presence. And then they get tempted. What do you think is the right balance?
Well, that's kind of one of the reasons I'm not a big proponent of marriage, is because I feel like it brings finances into your relationship, and I think it should be separate. And so, yeah, when somebody gets married and then they go make a ton of money and they haven't had a lot of sexual experience before that, and now all of a sudden they're getting attention at a much higher level, it's tough. It's a lot harder for that guy to be faithful than the guy that had done it all before and doesn't really care that much. And so I think that's one of the problems that I have with guys getting married early on, is that it just, then later they feel trapped. Now I have all these, opportunities and I can't take advantage of them. And I think that's natural for a guy. And, now he's going to feel like is missing out, or, and I wouldn't feel like that. So, I think before you get married, especially if you plan on making a lot of money, you might want to kind of like get out there and do your thing so you don't have that regret.
So for you're ready right now. If the right girl comes, you're ready to get married?
Well, I don't know about married. I don't see a lot of upside in marriage. Like I could see, for a rich guy to get married, it's kind of a negative free roll. It's almost like you're betting half your net worth, you're going to love one girl forever. Like, I think it's a pretty big bet, and I don't think there's a big payoff on the other side of it, because it's not like you have to get married to stay with her. Two people can be together without getting the government's permission. And so if you're having kids and you're not successful, I get it. It makes sense. Or if you've just had, a partner for a long time and you trust her and she's just your fucking person, then okay. But I think when you're 43 years old and you're successful and you're out there dating, I don't know. What's the upside?
Why, there's a lot of good lawyers. Yeah, he's called.
There are. There are.
In the right state and,
but you're not going to make any money doing it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a business decision. If you look at it like, you can only lose money and you can't make money, and gambling, we call that a negative free roll. So marriage is out the question for you, out of the question, no interest at all. Unless she's a billionaire, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then maybe she's proposing, then
she's
let's talk.
85 years old.
Yeah.
She's probably living in Palm Beach. It's a different profile. I don't know if that's what you're into.
That's not my demo.
Yeah. Then you'd need to come up with a new product for Ignite that you would promote and, to sell to the market. But going back to it, okay, so marriage. While you're going through this process that you're going through, like, kind of changing some of the ways you're living, is faith played any role in you? Are you like thinking God at all? Are you going through that at all? Or nothing that...
Not in the traditional sense. Like, I don't believe in like, going to the church and worshiping and doing all that stuff. To me, the idea of a like God that's up there that is requiring everybody to worship him seems a little strange. I'm not saying it's not, okay, it's not shitting on people's religion, but it just... I don't know. To me, the more successful people are, or like, the better a fighter is, the less he needs everybody to tell him how great he is, And I feel like if you were God, would you really need everybody to worship you all the time and tell you how great you are? Doesn't seem to, correlate with the experience that I've had, I feel like everybody knows what the right thing is to do and just do the fucking right thing. Like, that's my religion. Do the fucking right thing. You know what it is, you know? Like, I mean, everybody's kind of got their confidence unless you're a sociopath or something like that. Like, so just do the right thing and, you know, don't fuck people over, you know, treat others as you want to be treated. You know, I think there's a lot of knowledge in the Bible. I think there's a lot of good quotes in there. But as far as like traditional mainstream religion, I'm not, you know, if I were to be anything, maybe Christian. You know, I like the Muslims. I mean, I think that they have a pretty peaceful religion. They get a really bad rap in the media. But I've met a lot of Muslims and they're, you know, pretty morally sound for the most part.
So you would consider being a Muslim?
I don't know enough about their religion. I think I'm going to probably read the Quran. So more to just understand it. I'm not really looking for like a mainstream religion to join, but...
Is there this guy, I don't know if you know him or not, this guy named Andrew Tate. Do you at all talk to this guy?
Yeah, we're friends. Yeah.
I'm obviously being sarcastic. I know you guys have spoken. He spent time with you. Yeah, but obviously he went from, you know, being a Christian to being a Muslim.
Yep.
And now he's pretty loud about it. Does he have any influence with you reading the Quran or not really?
A little bit.
Okay.
You know, I mean, he's a smart guy. He's a pretty smart, well-read guy. So I don't think he would take that decision lightly. He's probably done the research, you know. I don't know. He hasn't converted his brother, so I guess his case isn't that strong. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think, you know, there's nothing wrong with learning. I mean, understanding where people are coming from or what they believe in, I think is always good. So
did you hear the reason why he said he became a Muslim?
No.
So when they were in jail, when he got out, we went out and visited him in Romania. And he says, when we went to jail and I converted to being a Muslim, he says, I got hundreds of letters from Muslim brothers. He says, my brother who's a Christian, no one wrote him a letter. He says, the brotherhood on the Muslim side was just more revealing than what happened on the Christian side. Now, obviously, that's not the reason to convert or not, but that was part of it. And that's when he started getting more into the reading of it. But let me go back to, so Dan, a part of, for someone who lives life from a extreme standpoint, right? A Michael Jordan, it's an extreme life, you know, the life you're living. Trump, it's an extreme life. You don't have to be that extreme to win in media, real estate, and politics. It's extreme. Why are you putting yourself through that kind of a life? In bodybuilding, in fame, in celebrity, all of that stuff. What did you have a moment as a kid where it was like the most painful moment that impacted you for the rest of your life? Like, was there a moment?
No, there wasn't any like one moment. I think I got a lack of attention as a kid, and the fame thing was more of a social experiment, and it was more just like, I'm gonna do a bucket list of all the things that I want to do, because I made a bunch of money and kind of had a lot of time, and I was, you know, overplaying the poker. So, and Instagram was kind of like a new thing, and social media, and also it was a little bit of a fuck you to the ex-girlfriend. It was like kind of like the perfect storm of just like, let's see what we can do with this. And I also knew that it would correlate to getting more girls too, because it was kind of like a little bit of a dating app, if we're being honest. And so, yeah, I just kind of like went down the road a little bit, and then we went down the road a lot a bit, and then it was kind of like spiraled out of control. And I think the reason why it did well is because it was just stuff I wanted to do, you know, like I just wanted to do all those things. And so when I got the time and I got the money to do them, I just kind of, you know, went through the bucket list and checked all the boxes, and we went all the way down the road to hedonism and documented it, you know. So
to a level that, you know, at one point it was like a 18-year-old boy's dream to say, man, I'm vicariously living through what you're doing with your life, all the crazy stuff that you were doing. So it wasn't anything where as a kid you're like, you know what, I'm going to prove these guys wrong. I'm going to prove this guy that I'm going to be somebody. This what I went through. The world's going to know who I am and what I'm doing.
No, it wasn't so much that. I mean, there is always like an element of insecurity of like, you know, wanting to show people up, right? Or, you know, prove people wrong. There's always going to be some of that. But I think for me, I just really kind of like wanted to see how far I could take it, you know, because I started doing the Instagram a little bit, and then it was almost like treated like a video game. It was like, how high can we get the score, you know? And it was also like in conjunction with, I just made, you know, $50-60 million that year playing poker, and, you know, things were going good, and I was making money left, right, and center, like way faster than I could spend it. And I don't know. They just like, they had a good synergy. It was like, I wanted to do all these things. And those were also the things that like a lot of other guys wanted to do. And they're responding really positively to that. So it was very interesting to the audience. And I was also kind of like, fuck it. Like I didn't have a job. Like I didn't care what my parents thought. I just didn't give a shit what anybody had to say. So I was able to like really just put it out there raw in a way that other people, I don't think have ever done before. And I think, you know, and in the captions too, just like the way I would caption things. I mean, it was just like, fuck it, you know, this is what I'm going to say and, you know, see what happens. You know, it's kind of like throwing a grenade in the toilet. You know, it's going to be interesting. We don't know what's going to happen, but it'll be interesting to watch,
right.
You know?
That's like even with the wedding picture, you're like, I'm finally doing it, right? It's not like everybody say, oh my God, he's married. But going back to it, I'm Armenian, you're Armenian, your father's Armenian, your mom is...
She's Norwegian and Swiss. I'm a bit of a mutt.
Got it. So growing up with an Armenian dad, was he a typical Armenian dad? Like, hey, when you and your brother, when you guys grow up, you got to do this and you got to do this and you got to do this, or did he kind of leave you guys alone?
I would say my dad was anything but typical of anything. He was a very strange, like unique person, and he was not around very much, and he was really, really focused on business. And when he was around, it was for sports, and he was like basically a drill instructor. I mean, it was like hardcore to the door, you know, 2 hours a day practice every day, including Sundays. And if we lost a game, it was like no talking on the way home. It was like really like, you know, serious. And this is when we were like 7 years old. So I would say he didn't have that much of a direct impact in the sense of like him teaching me things or me following his path. I would say he had a pretty strong indirect impact in the sense that I didn't get a lot of attention from him. And so I think a part of the social media stuff was like, you know, some validation and some attention seeking and whatever. But yeah, like I said, I think it was like a perfect storm of just like running this experiment, having all that fucking money, having all that time, not having anybody to answer to, you know, and at the time when social media was kind of new too. So nobody had done that before.
Yeah, because when I go back and I see you, and I go back and I'm studying your dad, and I'm like, okay, this guy, he went to what, Harvard? Yep. He went to Stanford. I think he met your mom, I think at Stanford, if I'm not mistaken. And then he was also a military guy. He got a bunch of awards. You know, he was, but even that profile of a guy is super competitive. Yeah. You don't get to go to Stanford and Harvard and do what you do in the military. Where did the drive come with him? Like, who was your grandfather? Is there a lineage of somebody that from the top is just challenging, driving, pushing, that keeps getting passed down to top?
It's an interesting question. I didn't really know my grandfather that well, but from the moment I remember my father, he was like an ultra competitive guy, like absurdly competitive, to the point where like, if he lost in a family tennis game, it was like he was going to maybe break his racket or blame my mom. I mean, it was like insanely competitive, you know, like 6 years, like he sued the Little League, you know what I mean? Like he was a maniac. So
he sued the Little Why did he sue the Little?
It was some little thing, like they were doing a fundraiser or something. And I guess they didn't raise he said he would match it if they raised a certain amount, and they raised like a little less than that amount. And then they basically said that he welched. And so he sued them for slander. I don't know. It was like a whole crazy thing. But the point is, like, he was not normal. He was a nut, and he was super competitive. Like I said, I don't know where he got it from, but he was like that since I've known him, and he's like that now.
Your brother, is he also super competitive? Or
yeah.
He's also competitive. Were you guys competitive as brothers growing up?
For sure.
And what's the age difference?
2.25 years.
2.25. So 2 years and 3 months. Okay. Yeah. Now you got to realize I'm asking this for different reasons. I have 4 kids. And I have 2 boys. My oldest are 2 boys and 2 girls, and they're very competitive. And their father's very competitive, and it's constantly driving, right? So you kind of, but you and your brother actually have a good relationship together, right? You guys
do now, yeah. We fought a lot when we were younger. I think it's natural. Like 2 kids that similar age, you're just always kind of going to be like back and forth.
When your pops was in financial services, was there ever where you're like, I'm going to get into it as well? I'm going to go do buying companies and doing all the stuff that he's doing, or no?
So he was doing a lot of that. And then, you know, because by the time I think it was when I was like 11, he ended up going to jail. And so he got indicted for securities fraud or whatever that was. And I think from that point on, he was almost like spending the majority of his time just like battling the government, trying to fight it on appeal, like all that stuff. So the bulk of like his like work was done when I was younger. So then after that, it was more just legal battles.
Younger is as in how old? Younger, like
before 11. So I think when I was 11.
Got it.
Yeah, that's when he
so
went.
91. So when did he go away?
I believe it was like 89, 90ish, and it was for a year. And then when he got out, I had another couple years with them, and then I lived with my uncle for a year. I went to military school for a year, then we went to Utah, and I got thrown in jail. It was like a whole thing.
That's a lot of chaos, though. That's a pretty chaotic environment.
5 schools in 4 years, yeah.
Yeah, I read that somewhere. 5 schools in 4. So high school, 16 years old, who were you? Were you still a playboy at 16, or were you more the athlete, the shy kid?
I played baseball. I was good at baseball. I was starting pitcher as a freshman on the varsity team. So I was good at baseball, but I wasn't a stud by any means. I wasn't getting a lot of girls. I think I lost my virginity at 13 to a Mexican hooker. So it was like nothing really to brag about there.
Did you go to Mexico?
Yeah, so I was in boarding school at the time.
Revolution Avenue or whatever that place is in TJ?
I don't remember. No, it wasn't TJ. It was Mexico City. So I was in boarding school, military boarding school. And I hated my parents at the time for sending me there. And my roommate, he said, you want to come home with me for Thanksgiving? And I was like, where do you live? He's like, Mexico. I was like, well, fucking Mexico. It's kind of shitty. Like, what the fuck? He's like, no, man. Like, we got our own house and we got a limousine. And I'm like, can we, you got any guns? Like, can we buy a gun? He's like, no, but we can buy dynamite.
How old are you at this time? 13?
13, yeah.
And you're interested in guns at 13?
Oh, I was like 6. I got my first gun.
No, like a real, because of Pops? Was he fully into it? Or?
No, my mom's side. So my grandfather was like real big hunter, all into guns. My dad, it's actually the first gun that my dad gave me was an M16 because it's the only gun he knew from Vietnam. And that was the gun that got me thrown in jail when they found it in my car at school.
How old were you?
17 when I got thrown in jail for it.
And because what? You took it to school with you or you had it in your car?
Yes, I had it. It was technically considered school grounds because the parking lot, I guess, was considered part of the school, even though it was like a mile away. So it was basically the same in their eyes as me having it in the locker. So I got like charged, and this was like right after Columbine or whatever that fucking school shooting was. So it was not good. So I did like 3 weeks in jail. Dad kind of came in and bailed me out. And then I got kicked out of the state of Utah. And then after that, I went in the military. So
when was the military? You were 13 years old when your dad sent you to boarding school?
Yeah.
And how was that experience?
It was pretty shitty. That was like, it was mostly, I think it was all guys.
Where was it at?
It was in St. Pete, Admiral Farragut.
Got it. When I was at Harvard at this OPM program, Owner President Management Program, it's like a 3-week executive program that you go to, and they have 144 different CEOs from 44 countries. And it could range from a guy running a $11 billion company, range to a guy doing $22 million a year. But the minimum was you had to be above a $10 million a year in top line revenue to go to it. My classmate, the guy that was staying in our, whatever you want to call it, rooms, the campus that we had, he was from Lagos. He was worth a couple $100 million. I said, so where does your fire come from to be worth a couple $100 million? And all of a sudden, we're having this late night conversations at dinner. He gets emotional. I said, brother, I just asked you a basic question. Why, what happened to you? He said, my dad told me I needed to go to boarding school to be a man. And for 3 years when I was gone, all I asked myself is, how could a father be away from his son that he loved so much for 3 years? I told myself, if you send me away to be not seeing my own dad for 3 years, you will never see me ever again. And he never came back.
Wow.
The guy went and made a couple $100 million, and everything to him was his dad. He's like, watch what I'm going to do to you. You don't want me to be around. Did that do anything to you, or no? Were you at boarding school? Like, how come you don't want me to be around you? I love you. You're my dad. You're my family. I want to be. Did you have that kind of a feeling, or not really?
Well, I got kicked out of 2 schools in 7th grade. So I got kicked out of the school in Florida, and then my dad sent me to live with my uncle in Minnesota, and then I got kicked out of that school. And then I think they were just kind of like, fed up with it. But I didn't have a good relationship with my dad. I was kind of like, he was just always all business. And it's funny, man, like some of that stuff, like you said, like that was that guy's drive, that was his passions. It's kind of like at the time, you probably thought that was a really shitty thing, but had not been for that, maybe he wouldn't have gone out and made 2-3.
So I'm asking the question. Because for people to be able to, the whole concept of winning, you have to be able to handle criticism, being misunderstood, hated, controversy, conflict, the heat, the constant chaos. And typically the guys that can handle that well weren't trained when they became successful. They were trained on how to be in a chaotic environment when they were kids.
Yeah.
And then later on, they're like, listen, you think this is painful? You have no clue what I experienced when I was 11 years old. That's where the real pain comes from. For me, living in Iran, you go through a war, you see what's going on, 10 and a half years living in Iran. Later on in life, you're like, yeah, this is COVID, guys, relax. You know, it's not what we went through in Iran. But that's why I was asking a question for you.
Yeah, I think the biggest disservice that, you know, a parent can do is to give the kid too cushy of an upbringing, honestly. Like, I think there's almost no upside from it. I mean, I know it's good. Like, you want to, you know, give your kids a good life and everything, but eventually they have to leave the nest, you know? So unless they're coming out with a trust fund or you're, you know, going to support them, it's kind of like they're going from here to here. It's just, you know, it's tough. I mean, if I were to plot, you know, my life path, I would always want to go from the bottom and a slow rise up, you know? And so it's tough because you want to give your kids a great life and you want to give them all the things that they ask for. But sometimes, yeah, you're doing them a disservice. And sometimes, you know, like your friend, I mean, dad was a shitty dad and it helped him. I mean, so it's kind of...
That was his driver. Like,
right?
He was not going to stop. But going back to it, with this whole conversation with your dad, for you, when you're seeing, you know, having a pops like that, having, you know, you and your brother yourself, have you thought about, like, I'm going to have kids one day? Or is it something like, I don't ever want to have kids because for whatever reason you don't want to have it?
I always thought that I wouldn't want to have kids. And then my brother had 3 kids and he's actually a great fucking dad. He's probably the one thing that would maybe, you know, sway me a little bit, but I just feel like I have to just do all the things that I want to do because kids are such a separate chapter of life. You know, it's kind of like you have kids and now you're living your whole life again through them. And you got to dedicate a lot of time if you want to be a good parent. And so I don't know. It's just not, I feel like it's a decision a lot of people take lightly. And it's, to be a good dad, you lose a lot of freedom. So I'm not, you know, kind of ready to lose all that freedom yet.
What else, what haven't you done that you got to do before having kids? Like, what else is it where you say, you know, like, what else can you check off? You and I were talking that you're like, yeah, you know, I'm in Dubai. I talked to this guy. He goes and he has the record for 460 feet. We decided to shut down the pool for me. And I go 100 feet and, you know, right in the middle of it, I'm thinking I'm going to die. You know, I make it to, I mean, the stories, the stuff that you've done is wild. What else is there left for you to do?
Well, that's the thing is, I don't know if I could have done all that stuff if I had kids, you know, like I probably wouldn't be risking my life or whatever.
But today, though, today is a different story.
Well, that was only 2 years ago, but yeah, I mean, I hear you. I don't know, man. I feel like I still have more things to do. You know?
What's the greatest high you had? Like if you say, you know, the greatest high I ever had was XYZ, what would you say is the greatest high? Is it winning 50 million? Is it 9 girls? Is it the house? We're in a house right now. I don't know how long it took us to take a tour of this house. How many square feet you said this house is?
It's like 52 if you count the rec center.
By the way, if you're watching, it's not 5,200. To most people, 5,200 is a big house. 52,000 square feet. And the house you were renting in, what do you call it? In LA,
it was like
65. How big was that?
I think it was 32.
32,000. Yeah. So your limit's 32. You don't like anything less than that.
Well, I mean, you know, I actually don't need all this space. It was nice during COVID. I mean, you know, the paintball and all the shit. But I don't know, you know, I went and did Canada for a week and I was living in a shitty cabin out there and making my own food and stuff. So, I mean, I can rough it if I need to, but.
What's your greatest high?
Greatest high, I don't know. It's hard to say. The gambling was definitely, I mean, gambling are super fucking strong spikes with dopamine, good and bad. I think one of the moments that I remembered was when I graduated Hell Week during SEAL training. That was probably one of the big highs because it was like such a, you know, so it was just like something that I never thought that I would be able to do. And then it was like followed by one of the biggest lows because the commanding officer didn't like acknowledge it or didn't care. And it's kind of like, and then I got kicked out 3 weeks afterwards. So, but that was a milestone. It's hard to say. I mean, one of the mistakes I made is I didn't stop and enjoy the ride as much as I should have. I was just always in such a hurry to get to the top. And I think when you do that, you deny yourself a lot of the, you know, satisfaction of the journey, which I think is the most important part. And so, hard to say. The girl stuff is just such a blur, you know, but there was definitely like defining time that I was just like, you know, I felt like the fucking man, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like I'd done shit like I would have ever dreamed that I could do, you know, with like the hottest chicks, you know? And so there was a lot of those, but that was more pleasure spikes. I think I got more happiness from helping other people doing stuff like that. But the pleasure is strong. Like the pleasure spikes are strong. The dopamine hits are strong, and it's addictive. And that's why it's hard to quit those things. Like gambling is one of the hardest things to quit for people.
No, I agree. It's not easy. No, but I asked the question because, so for me, I look at the profile of who's winning and a life they're having. And it's like, do I want to go this route? Do I want to go this guy? Like you're saying, Hugh Hefner, right? I'm like, this guy, look at it with all these girls and, you know, Playboy magazine, Marilyn Monroe first issue. Oh my God. Parties he puts, his house. You'd go to the party at $1,500, go to the cave, Magic Johnson, everybody's here. Holy shit, look what's going on over there. Cameras are gone, put your phone over here. I mean, those are, you know, as a guy, you're young, you're excited to go through this stuff. But then you look at like today, there's 4 names. I won't give the names. They're all above 60 and they've all made money and they're all famous. You know every one of the names if I tell you. They've all made money. They're all famous and they've all been through a lot of different girls. And none of them have kids. And they're 4 of the most bitter, famous men I meet.
Are we going to get the names?
I'll give it to you off camera. Okay. When it's just you, I'll give it off camera. But these are some of the 4 of the most bitter men you'll meet. And you watch them, you're like, how did you get here? How did you become like this, right? And then in my family, my father has 3 siblings. He has 2 brothers and a sister. They all live past 60. The brothers died in their 60s. The sister is 83. She has cancer right now, but none of them had kids. None of them had kids. My mom had 1 brother, the Armenian side. My dad's the Assyrian side. He had 1 kid. And I only have 1 first cousin. I got 4 uncles and aunts, only 1 first cousin, okay? And then you look at my dad. Guy had 13 heart attacks.
13?
13 heart attacks. He had 6 angiograms, 6 angioplastics. He's got 3 stents in his heart. 50% of his heart is black. And he took his mother to the hospital to get her heart checked out. In the waiting room at UCLA Medical Center, he has a heart attack. Stays for 30 days. And they do an open heart. My dad. This guy was a cashier at a 99-cent store. But even after the heart attack, my fear was this guy's never going to meet my kids because I never met his dad. So it's kind of like, man, I want him to meet my... So when I went to the Army and I'm kind of doing my thing every day, my fear when I'm by myself, I'm like, shit, I'm having parties, all this other stuff. Dude, if this guy dies, I want my kids to meet him. Doctor says you're going to live 10 more years, okay? And then my parents got a divorce. They married each other and divorced each other twice. So my mom and dad marry, my sister's born. 2 years later, they get a divorce. 2 years later, they remarry. Then I'm born. 15 years later, they get a divorce to each other. Okay, they can't be in the same room together. You know what was the only thing that caused my parents to get into the same room together 19 years later?
What's that?
My sister having a kid, Grace. She named her Grace. Everybody came together. And then she had a second, Sean, and then we had 4 kids. And then family today, my dad has got like the 9th life. He's 82 years old. You should see how he walks. He walks like the hunchback of Notre Dame. Boys always make fun of how he walks. He walks like this. Okay, his back is all like this. But I ask him, I'm like, hey, why are you still going through this? He works every single day. He says, are you kidding me? I got 6 grandkids. So the highs when you go and you make, I've had the exit, money hits the account, $200 million. Feels amazing. Private jet, travel, go spend $500,000, have a great time. Unfreaking believable. The people that said you'd never make it, you win, and they come back and say to your face, I fucked up, you made it, respect to you. The teacher who said in school you should, I feel sorry for your parents because of who you were in high school, 1.8 GPA. And then 6 years later, you're coming to speak at the school and they're introducing you. You were the 1 point. These are all good highs. Brother, we're 2 years apart. You and I are pretty much the same age. Nothing, no high comes close to from my life, my experience. I'm not talking about it from your experience. Nothing comes close of having kids, man. There's something very special about it.
I've heard that from a lot of people, actually. Yeah. Actually, you know, now that you mentioned that, I think I do have a significant high that I remember. I was in class, and I had just made like $400,000 that month playing poker. And
how old are you?
I was, well, this is my last day of college, so it was 27.
Okay.
27. And, you know, my professor was just kind of like talking down to me in some way, shape, or form. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I just kind of like checked him. And I was like, you know, you're not going to talk to me like that, like whatever. And he's kind of like looked at me like I was crazy. And I said something to him like, you know, look, dude, like, what the fuck have you done? Like, you graduated college, like, congratulations. Like, you're not better than me. He's like, oh, what have you done? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm a fucking veteran. And he's like, oh, no, this is what he said. He said, what have you done? Graduated high school? I'm like, no, actually, I got a GED. But I'm a veteran. I made more money last month than you're going to make in the next fucking 3 years. Or last week than you're going to make in the next 3 years. You know, and so you're just not going to fucking talk down to me.
Yeah.
And he said, well, if you're so fucking rich, he's like, what are you doing in college? And I was like, I just sat there for like 6 seconds and processed it. And I was like, you know what? That's the smartest thing you've said all fucking semester. You're right. I'm fucking out of here. And I left, and driving home in the car, I never had a better feeling than that. Like, I finally got the chance, and I told him, fuck you on the way out. Like, I finally told the professor to go fuck themselves. And I never had to go back to college, and I never had to like answer to anybody. And for that point, like, I never had a job. I just could do whatever the fuck I wanted. I had like actual freedom, because the whole time I was gambling in college, I still had to go to class. You know, I was getting the GI Bill and all this stuff, and I felt like I had to do it. And it was just like very liberating. I just, for the first time in my life, I felt like I was actually free, because I was in the military, so I was always answering to somebody, and before that, and my parents and whatever. And I think that was like the first time in my life, that defining moment when I was just like, I can do whatever the fuck I want tomorrow.
That's the ultimate high.
That for me, that's the one that I remember the most. I wasn't the richest, sure as hell, you know, like, you know, I wasn't famous, I wasn't getting, you know, like crazy. It was just like, but I felt free, and that felt really fucking good.
Yeah, I mean that's a big driver, right? Chip on the shoulder, proving others wrong. It is a big driver. I wrote a book earlier this year called Choose Your Enemies Wisely. Some of the guys that do the biggest things in life, they chose the right enemy, but some of them it's temporary drive. Some of them it's 10, 20 years. Some of them it's permanent till the day they die. Yeah, and it's that element of when you look at some guy, you're like, that guy's still going. Why are you still going 50 years later? That's a different enemy he chose than the other guy that had a fire for 6 months or 12 months or 24 months. But that's a completely different conversation.
In these uncertain times, if there's anything we need, is we need people to believe the future looks bright. So if you've heard about me saying this mission to you, we're on a mission to get 1 million people to wear this gear. And this is what we're doing. If you buy one of these hats, there's a category of buying one hat, getting the second one free. If you haven't yet worn this gear publicly, go ahead and test it out. Buy some of the gear, wear it in public, and see how many people will stop by and say, you also watch Valuetainment? You also follow PBD Podcast? I do too. Place your order. Go to vtmerch.com. Click on the link above or below. Place your order and represent the VT and the PBD Podcast gear.
That's good to know, to see where you're at with that. Let me go to a different conversation with you. Recently, you know, when I watched some of your tweets, I don't know if you've announced this or not. I don't know if you've joined APAC. I don't know if you are, if you are an advisor for them. Let me read some of these tweets. Muslims aren't the problem. The open borders and motherfuckers and the media attacking nationalism, pushing DEI, transgenderism, and destroying moral values are the problem. August 4th. If you don't put America first as a U.S. politician, you are committing treason. Supporting Israel is bad for America. Netanyahu is a convicted war criminal, and Israel is not our ally. We fought way too many wars for Israel, and we certainly don't need to give them any more money. July 25th. These idiots have ruined movies. Everything they put out is literally propaganda. And then all of a sudden we got scripture here. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Is this recent, comments you're making about Israel a recent thing, or have you always had these beliefs?
It's more recent. I didn't really realize what a problem it was until recently, and then everybody was scared to say something about it. My brother told me, you can't say anything about it. They'll fucking kill you. Like, everybody basically said that I couldn't say anything about it. And actually now they're like literally like trying to like kick me off the board of my company because of those tweets. So like,
shit.
Yeah, I've definitely had a lot of like negative pushback, a lot of my Jewish friends, but I don't give a fuck. You know, it's like one of those things where I know that it's the right thing. And the fact that everybody else is scared to say it makes me, you know, feel obligated to be vocal about it.
Why do you think it's the right thing?
Because I know that they're a fucking parasite. Like they provide the U.S. absolutely no value. They've done so many things that, you know, would constitute, you know, an act of war against us. I mean, USS Liberty, Lebanon Affair. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on. But, you know, I think they knew about 9/11. I think they had JFK assassinated. The first thing that he wanted to do, you know, right before he died was, you know, make AIPAC a foreign entity, and not allow them to have nukes. And then all of a sudden this fucking guy's dead. And Jack Ruby, who is Jack Rubenstein, you know, I mean, it's just like, and then you just, I don't know, man, I can't ignore all the shit that they've done. They sold our secrets. Netanyahu lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. We fought all these fucking wars. My friends have died over there. Like, you know, and I just look at what they provided us with, and it's fucking, it's not nothing. It's like a negative, you know, it's not, even if they just didn't do jack shit, that would be, you know, bad, but they've actually done things to hurt us over and over and over again. So like this whole thing of they're our greatest allies, just complete fucking bullshit. And, you know, we send them $100 billion, then they send AIPAC $100 million, and then they distribute it to our politicians, and every politician has a little fucking AIPAC handler walking around and telling them what to fucking say and how to vote. And it's just like, look, I'll donate like $100,000 to politicians, you know, and they call me up like, hey, you need anything? Like every week. I don't need shit. I fucking sit on my ass. I don't do anything. I don't care. I don't fucking break any laws. I don't need any favors. Like I just gave it to them because I didn't want to see any more fucking retard, you know, Democrats in there. So, you know, but that's 100,000. Like what does 100 million buy you? How many fucking phone calls do those guys get? You know? And so like, I just know how it works. And the system is broken. Like these people get into office and they don't have very much money and they get out of office with fucking tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not a fucking accident, right?
Is that an Israel thing or is that anybody? Because China's doing the same thing.
China it doesn't have they don't have an AIPAC. Like Israel is the only one that has a fucking like a lobby in the U.S. fucking, you know, giving these politicians money.
Okay, no, every country, the big ones all have lobbyists. They all have lobbying that they're doing.
Not in the U.S. They're registered as foreign entities.
Right. I mean, if you're talking about, are you going to the dual citizenship part with Israel, you know, Israel?
That's another problem is a lot of our politicians have far more allegiance to Israel than they do the United States. I mean, that's a whole nother issue as well.
Do you know why they did the dual citizenship? Do you know the history behind why they did the dual citizenship?
What do you mean?
Like, so the whole concept of dual citizenship was because when Israel became a, you know, country again, they didn't want the people from here who wanted to go back to Israel that didn't have a motivation to go if they were going to lose their citizenship here. So that was the reason why they did it. It was kind of like, okay, you're your own country. We kind of need some of you guys to move over there to help the country out. Yeah, but I'm not going to go. Why are you not going to go? Am I going to lose my citizenship here? But you are. I mean, we don't do that. Every other country, I don't want to lose my citizenship. Well, okay, how about if we do this? How about if we allow you, just Israel, to go back to your country, you won't lose your citizenship? That was the arrangement at the beginning why they did it that way.
No, look, I get it. I have 3 citizenships. You know what I mean? I think it's okay. I think
What's the third one? I know Armenia, but what's the
St. Kitts.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't have an issue with dual citizenship. My issue is when somebody is holding a U.S. office and they are putting a foreign nation's interest before America's interest, and they are favoring that other country. And so that to me is treason. Like when you are a U.S. government official, your motivation should be to do things in the best interest of the government that you are representing, not 100%. Some other fucking foreign country. And that's the problem.
Okay, so, but go through it. So what is the solution? Meaning, if Israel's the enemy, then if let's just say you don't do anything and everybody in the Middle East unites to take out Israel, do you think the Middle East is better without Israel? And do you think the world's a safer place without Israel?
100%. It's not even close.
Okay, tell me why. Why do you think?
Give me an argument otherwise, please.
But
give me one argument why the world would be better off with Israel. Let's just start with that. One thing. Give me one thing.
Have you ever lived in the Middle East?
No.
I lived there for 10.5 years. It's a very, it's not as like here. You can sit here, you can be an atheist, you can be an agnostic, I can be a Christian, he can be a Jew, he can be an LDS, Muslim, no problem. We can coexist here. You can do that in Israel. You can do that.
I mean, not really. They're operating apartheid right now. So everybody's not living equally.
Not at the level of Iran. Not at the level of what Iran is doing. I mean, in Iran, if you're thinking what Israel is doing out of control, do you know how much money Khamenei's families made? Do you know how much money they've taken? They have 200.
I've never been to Iran, but I've been to Dubai. I've been to Saudi. Like I've been to UAE. So like, and they're all Muslim. They seem to be operating fine.
I would say Iran's slightly different than. But go back to it. So okay, so you think the Middle East and the world would be a better place if Israel didn't exist?
Yes.
Okay.
Israel's committed, so many terrorist attacks. They're stealing land right now. They're operating apartheid. They're currently committing a genocide on Palestinians. Like, do you believe in the genocide they're committing?
I think they're fighting for themselves and they're defending themselves.
Do you think that's defense?
Well,
when 1,200 people died, and of which the 1,200 you've killed and admitted that you've killed a lot during, your Hannibal.
I will tell you this. The part I question where people who are Jewish can't stand when I say this, I don't know how you, Netanyahu, claim you have the best intelligence in the world, Mossad, and you didn't know that on October 7th they're attacking
you. About it. They didn't. They wanted it to happen, so they had a reason to take that. They wanted a reason to take the land.
I totally get it.
And they killed their own citizens. And they claimed that all these people got raped. That was bullshit. They claimed beheaded babies. That was bullshit. Everything that they said was a fucking complete. Not only was it a lie, but they committed all those atrocities themselves to the Palestinians and been caught doing it. In fact, they just got caught gang raping Palestinians. How many babies have they killed? All the things that they accuse the Palestinians of or Hamas of or whatever, they're guilty of 100-fold themselves. And they've been doing that. Like October 7th wasn't the start of this. Like the start of this was Nakba. They've done so many different.
Disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, so I mean, this is not like, it's not like October 7th is like, it's all of a sudden they just came over there unsolicited and just killed people. Like they have been killing Palestinians for years and years, operating two sets of justice. It's like they have the justice for the Palestinians and the justice for the Israelis. And if you read the Talmud, like, if you're not Jewish, you're basically not a human. You're like, like cattle. If a Jew is killed by, somebody that's not Jewish, then it's the death penalty. If a Jew kills somebody that's not a Jew, then, you can't kill them. It's not the death penalty. Like they literally like segregate in their Bible.
They're very protective of themselves. I don't think anybody can debate that. I don't think it's a...
Well, it's not the problem isn't that they're protective of themselves. The problem comes when you think that you're better than other people and you think it's okay to lie to anybody that's not a Jew. You think it's okay to steal from people that are not a Jew. You have two sets of standards. The problem with that is it allows you to rationalize anything, right? And human beings are generally self-serving creatures. So if your fundamental religious belief system allows you to operate in such a way that you believe there isn't consequences to stealing from other people, killing other people, raping, kids that are under 9 years old, like if you think those things are okay, then, how are you going to operate? Because to me, like my moral code keeps me on track.
I don't think that's what it is. I don't think it's because you're saying it one-sided. You're not telling the other side of the story on what they're doing either. You're not saying what Hamas did. You're not saying what they did.
What did Hamas do?
I mean, from day one, when you see the rapes and the videos, we've all seen it. This isn't something
what rapes and videos?
But stay on this year if you want to continue with this.
But what rapes and videos?
But my concern when you're saying Israel's doing it, you're saying the other side isn't doing anything.
No, but I'm asking. There was no rapes during October 7th. They've shown no rapes from October 7th. They showed no beheaded babies. All that was all bullshit.
I'll send you stuff. No, there's plenty of stories. It's not all of them.
The Israeli articles that I saw recently said that there was only 2 babies killed. One was shot by a bullet, and the other one died in a hospital. There was no babies in ovens. There was no beheaded babies. All that was all bullshit.
Okay, so go back to the part when you said they think they're better than you. You believe that Jews think they're better than everybody else.
It says it in their Bible.
Okay, but you believe they're better than everybody else. Okay.
I didn't say they're better than everybody else.
They think.
According to their scripture.
Okay, but what if...
And if you look at how they operate, right, like they literally caught people raping Palestinian prisoners, and there was riots. But the riots weren't because they were raping the prisoners. The riots were because they felt like they had the right to rape the fucking prisoners. That's why they almost had a fucking civil war, because they felt like they had the right to rape these prisoners. They felt like that was okay because they weren't Jewish. So, when you have a society that operates like that, you're going to have fucking problems. And they're not the fucking most moral army. That's all fucking bullshit. Everything that they say, it's just like almost like, listen, when somebody lies to me, like if you lie to me, I'm not probably going to trust you again. You lie to me a second time, I'm definitely not going to trust you. You lie to me a third time, and I let you lie to me the third time, I'm the fucking idiot. These motherfuckers have lied like 10,000 times. So like, I don't believe anything they say anymore.
I come from a place of, I don't sit here expecting you to tell me 100% the truth. I don't sit here thinking, yeah, Dan's going to tell me 100% the truth with whatever he has in his life. I don't expect that from you because I don't expect people to walk on water. That's not my expect. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to live it with my life, but you can't think that China's going to tell us the truth, or Iran tells us the truth, or US tells everybody the truth, or you think any country is going to tell us 100% the truth.
But I don't know, man. I got a different moral code. Like in gambling,
it's not about
but in gambling and business, like with my friend group, like you lie one time, you welch on a debt, you do one
You're
thing.
talking friendship, though.
I'm just saying, my friends, people that I know, people that I do business with, people I gamble with, like
it's the same thing I have as well. It's the same thing most people have. There's a difference between on the personal side than on the countryside. So you're America first. Is it fair to say you're America first? Okay. How do you feel about the protesting and the rioting going on in schools, academia, Harvard, Columbia, when you've seen all the stuff that's going on, Free Palestine, gays for Gaza, when you see that, what do you think about it? Does it do anything to you, or you're like, let me support them?
I mean, I think it's pretty funny that it wasn't a problem until it was against Israel. It wasn't a problem with BLM. It was fucking encouraged with BLM.
It was always a problem with
Bullshit.
BLM.
They fucking encouraged it. They let them burn down police stations. There was no repercussions.
I'm not talking mainstream.
No, I'm talking about our government and our media encouraged that shit. Right? They encouraged it when it was BLM. Like, they literally burnt down police stations and it was fine. The mayor came out and was like, no problem, no arrests, no big deal. We don't give a fuck.
Right.
Take down statues, destroy buildings, burn cop cars, do whatever you want to do. But the moment it was Israel, now all of a sudden,
why do you think
students
they were okay
get
with that?
The shit beat out of them. They get arrested. They get pepper sprayed. They get fucking maced. And those are peaceful protests. BLM was not peaceful. But it was fine because it wasn't criticizing Israel. What does that tell you?
Let me ask you a question.
Well, we'll answer that. What does that tell you? Who's in charge here?
But you're talking to a guy that I'm not sitting here saying what BLM. I'm talking to you like you and I. I'm not talking to you with $2-3 billion of damage they did to small business owners in communities that African Americans are living in, and who controls mainstream media. And there's only 2 outlets right now. We're talking to a couple of your friends here that were during lunchtime. We're having a conversation while we're having dinner with who controls mainstream media, the left. The only one that's on the right is one, okay? And that's also going to the left. Who controls CNN, CBS, ABC? That's left. Who controls universities? Left. Who controls schools?
Well, it's like 90-something% Jewish. Right. We could say left, but it's Jewish if we're being honest.
Not necessarily, because even right now, if you think about it, if you think about the right and the left, okay, who's taking the biggest hit with losing Jewish voters? Because most Jews vote left. They're not voting on the right.
Jewish vote is irrelevant. They're like 2% of the population.
But the money that they vote with their money.
I mean, yeah, but like at the end of the day, I think how much money goes into these campaigns isn't going to dictate as much as when you have a president that's like potentially getting assassinated. Like those are the drivers. I mean, Kamala Harris is a drunken school teacher. Like she can't even like formulate a coherent sentence. I mean, I don't know. The idea of voting for her just seems crazy. My biggest criticism of Trump is his support of Israel. I mean, aside from that, I mean,
why do you think he's supporting Israel?
Because of money. That's why they all fucking support Israel. Money.
Well, you said it's not about money a minute ago.
Well, he wants money. I mean, these politicians are I mean, there's 2 reasons to run for president.
Right.
Because you're a good person and you want to do good.
Okay.
Or because you want fucking money.
Sure.
And fame. That's it. It's the only reason somebody would join president.
You're a good person.
Or you want money and fame.
And fame.
That's it.
2 reasons why you run.
Why else would you run?
Why do you think
president?
Trump's reason is?
Money and fame.
You think he wants money and fame?
100%.
You think Trump's running because he wants money and fame?
100%.
He has money. He is famous.
He wants people to love him. He wants attention. I mean, he was doing like reality shows for Christ's sakes. Like he wants more money.
I totally get it. But you think he is more, he is, how much you think it matters for Trump to be liked?
I think he wants people to like him.
Okay. Yeah. So if that's the case, he should have never ran, because ever since he ran, people don't like him.
I get it. Well, I mean, but the fame is like that. I mean, fame is polarizing. Like, there's very few people that become famous that don't have people hate them. I mean, it comes with the territory. Like, if you want to be loved, you're going to be hated as well. It's just, that's the way it is.
In 2014, he could have been invited to Beyonce and Jay-Z's party. in 2014. In 2014, he would have been invited to, with NAACP. In 20, he went to everything. So
one thing to be invited to parties, another thing to have international status and legacy, and So
the reason why I brought the money side with Jews. So who do you think the recent event with October 7th hurt more, the left or the right, politically?
October 7th? What do you mean?
Israel, Hamas, like this whole back and forth. Which political party you think has lost more, taken a bigger hit with their position they've taken with the Jews?
I mean, they're both pro-Israel. So I don't think it's a left against the right when it comes to Israel. And that's like what people think is like, but it's just a distraction. Like they're both pro-Israel. They're both, fucking Biden's giving Israel shitloads of money. Like, what do you mean? Trump's going to give shitloads of money. Trump's going to fucking go to war with Iran. What are you talking about? They're both fucking.
You think Trump's going to go to war with Iran?
He said he's going to.
No, it's his way of saying to not go to war.
He puts
the same way he said with everybody else that he was going to push them. Or war didn't happen. He said.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like he said that he was going to.
So then let me ask you. So who would you vote for today? It doesn't sound like you're voting for anybody.
I mean, if I had to choose between those two, Trump for sure. I don't even think it's close. I mean, Kamala's half a fucking retard. And she pushes, all this woke left ideology. It's just nonsense. Like, I mean, she's a fucking complete moron. Not that Trump is like a super genius either, but like light years past her. I mean, she was like one of the most hated people. Like how she even got the fucking nomination is beyond me. Like how they didn't give it a big mic is crazy. Like
you ever heard of, you're so funny. You ever heard of eugenics?
Eugenics?
Eugenics. Eugenics. You ever heard of that?
What's that?
Okay. You ever seen MIT stats showing that Ashkenazi Jews' IQ is the highest IQ in the world? You ever heard about that or not?
I believe it. It's up there, yeah. Yeah, I've seen the IQ studies, yeah.
So what do you think about that? The fact that they have a higher IQ? How do you process that information?
What do you mean?
You have a pretty high IQ, right?
Okay,
I mean, I don't know what the score is. I've seen some. What's this? I've read it multiple different places. What's the score you got?
I don't know. I mean, I was in the 99th percentile when I was in 8th grade and got accepted to Duke on a scholarship. I mean, I've tested okay. I'm a smart guy.
Okay,
I get it,
but do you think the part about like, okay, I'm a Syrian and I'm Armenian, and then I'm born in Iran and I'm in living in America. Armenians, try bring them together. It's tough. They're divided. Assyrians.
I don't know about that. Go to Glendale, buddy.
No, I lived in Glendale for 6 years.
What do you mean? They're pretty.
No.
Every kidding? Armenian that I ever meet is like, bro, you're Armenian. It's like I have seen
the pride is right.
Yeah, I've seen more Armenian pride than any other.
Yeah, but you're talking. These guys are coming to you. You have different types of Armenians, right? And even right now in Armenia, with what they're going through with, Pashinyan and some of the political stuff. You were there in 2018 with your brother and your dad when you guys went there and got your citizenship. But Assyrians, they're divided. It's the older, the church, the club, the this, the that. You can't unite these guys together, right? The closest thing I'll say with Jews, the level of unity that they have is Muslims and Mormons. Mormons are super united. Muslims are super united. And Jews are super united. That's one part that they have the edge. But then if you look at their IQ, and if somebody's IQ is higher, they're generally going to make better decisions in business, if that is correct, right? If IQ is correct.
Is that where so you think that 6 out of the 10 richest people in America are Jewish? You think it's just IQ related?
You think they started off with money when they started creating their wealth?
I think if you look at college admissions and you look at how many Jews get admitted versus how many whites, they lump themselves in a separate category. And 75% of college, what is it? 75% is Jewish.
Of what? Admissions?
I
don't know the exact
college executives. What Ivy League?
The number I have is, in the world, there's 267 Jewish billionaires. That's 10% of all the billionaires, while they're only 0.2% of the world, right? So that's a 5% overrepresentation in America.
Wait, you're saying they're 2%? They're not 2% of the world. They're 0.02. If
that's what I said, 0.2.
No, they're not. I think it's 0.02.
If you do 9 billion, they have roughly 15 million people.
Okay.
So 0.2% of 8 billion is like 16 million, and that's what they have.
Okay.
0.2%,
Yeah, not 2%.
No, we're saying the same thing.
No,
We're saying the same thing. So in US, 132 Jewish billionaires out of 756. 17% of billionaires in America are Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
Did that happen accidental? Is that because they work together? Is that a bad thing? Is that something where, it's kind of like saying, when Tom Brady was playing in the NFL, the guy was freaking hated. It's like, oh, Deflategate, or this, or they did this, or they did that.
I don't care that like 90% of sports are black or whatever the fucking statistic is. I don't give a shit if Jews have all the money. I really don't care. I don't care if they run Hollywood. Like, my issue is like culpability with the people that are pushing these fucking bullshit narratives. The media is mostly Jewish, and the media is pushing this fucking DEI.
Yeah.
They're pushing this trans bullshit. They're pushing they push the COVID fucking shit, right? So all I'm saying is I want you to be responsible for what you're in charge of. I don't care if it's the purple people in charge of the banks. I don't care if it's the fucking green people in charge of the fucking media. No, but dude, hear me out. I don't care who the fuck it is. I'm saying if the media is the green people and they're pushing COVID and they're pushing DEI, they're pushing transgenderism and they're pushing racism and they're pushing division and they're pushing a degradation of fucking moral fiber, I'm mad at the green people. Right? You see what I'm saying? I don't give a shit who it is. I'm saying who is in charge should have some responsibility.
I see it in a different way. Here's how I see it. So I see it as, when I'm coming up, I have my friends, I'm in the insurance game and I'm making $100,000 a year, and I would say, oh my God, look at those guys. All they care about is this, and they help each other out, these different insurance companies. I'm like, yeah, how about we figure out a way to do the same? No, but they have this, and it was almost like a little bit of from a place of victimhood. Like, look what they're doing. I'm like, okay, let me continue. So I grow, then I get to the next level. I'm making a little bit more money, and now I'm in different meetings. So at every level, Dan, my experience, I may be wrong, and challenge me as much as you want and say, rip it apart, the argument that I have.
Okay.
So while you're making six figures, you're in a room with 50 other guys making six figures, right? You know which guy that's at six figures that's going to go to $250,000, and you know which guy's going to get stuck at 100,000, and you know which guy's going to go down because he got lucky. Maybe he landed a big insurance sale that paid him $60,000. You could filter those guys out. You go to $250,000, you saw the same thing. You know who's going to go next level, who's going to stay, who's going to go down. $1 million, 10 million, 50 million, even a billion on who's going to go. Like, Elon's probably not going to slow down, but between Elon and Bezos, guess who's probably going to slow down if you chose those two? You may say Bezos. They're both worth a couple $100 billion. They have more money than many countries have. But at every level, eventually somebody stops, right? And some continue at every level. This is in basketball, sports, poker, you name it. I had a big $1 million thing. I'm happy I walk away. To me, the part of it that I see when I'm talking within my community, I'm a guy that in my house, I have a 15-foot painting in my house. When you come to Florida, if you ever do, I'll show it to you. In the middle of it, you know who it is? The Shaviran is right in the middle of it. Guess who was the biggest against the Jewish Zion media empire? Guess who was the biggest person that called him out? Him. And what happened to him in 1979? You know what they did to him? They got rid of him in a different way. So you're not talking to a guy that is Jewish or pro this or pro that. For me, I want to see what caused them to go from where they were at to having the kind of wealth that I have today. Can that skill set be transferred to others? The part that you and I can criticize is what they do with all the power that they have today. We can criticize that all day long. They run media, they run CNN, they do this, and they all tell everybody, you better say this, or you better say that. The Soros, the Bond, Bronfman, all these guys. You can criticize that all day because now you have the power. What do you do with the power? But my interest is, what caused them to get all this money? It's not like one day they woke up, they found something, and the next thing you know, they're doing this. How did they get all this power and this money that they made? Was that pure luck? Was that accidental?
I mean, depends on what field you're talking about. I mean, I think when you kind of stick together and when BlackRock, their execs are 100% Jewish. So when you only hire Jewish people and you give them preferential treatment, I think it's natural for, your race, religion, whatever, to have a higher, success rate when you're banded together and everybody else is divided. And, it seems like America just gets more and more divided by the day. And what would make it easier to conquer a country than to divide it? It's a lot easier, that's why they say divide and conquer, right? So in order to rule a country as a small class, you want the country divided. What's happened in the last 4 years? Our country's more divided than it's ever been. It's more racist, it's more divided, it's more fucking angry, everybody's fucking pulling each other apart. And, and the same playbook is happening in the UK. So I look at what is going on in the world and I don't think it is a positive thing. And so that is where, I get upset is because...
But the question is, how did they get the power? How do you think they got their power? Because this didn't happen, just, 70 years ago, they didn't have a country, whatever the timeline is when they got it, right? How did they all of a sudden go from what happens in Germany, then they get their country, then they're able to move up politically, then they're able to move up in media, then they're able to move up in all these different places with finance and Wall Street? What did they do right? How did they get all this power? They have a lot of power. How did they do it?
I mean, look, I haven't studied Jewish power struggles or how they made their money or anything like that. That's not really,
But you know what I'm asking?
I do. And I don't really have a direct answer for it because I haven't studied it, so I'm not going to guess. But, I just look at this whole thing of, they're obviously doing really fucking well. I don't know why it's constantly like a victim card thing.
You think it's worth studying? You think it's worth studying to see what they did?
Yeah.
I remember one time I'm in LA, I'm with this guy named David. He owned a dealership, Jewish guy. First time in my life I saw $1 million cash. I'd never seen it before. I just come out of the army. I'm like, hey, how the hell do you guys, Jews, I grew up in Iran, so we have a lot of Persian Jews. How do you guys always make so much money? And he said the most fascinating thing. He said, when one of us makes money, 5 of us makes money. I'm like, what does that mean? We always do business together. We always go into deals together. We're always finding ways to do business together. Do you know from that moment when I was 21 years old, when I started my insurance company at 30 years old, you know why was one of the reasons we never lost the vice president of the company? And I'm in Vegas right now because I got a convention at MGM for this week with 10,000 people there. We gave our guys equity. So our guys own the company. So it wasn't like it's my commission. That idea of equity came from that Jewish, dealership guy I met at 21 years old.
Listen, I get it. I mean, good for them. I don't have a problem with that. I don't care if they help each other out and whatever, they band together. My issue is when they fucking put their country ahead of our country, when they're living in our country and they're politicians in our country. And I care when our country is hurt to help their country. That's what I fucking care about. I don't give a shit if they band together. I don't care if they give each other special treatment, whatever. I mean, I'd like to stop hearing about the fucking victim card bullshit every time I fucking turn around, because they're not victims. They're crushing in every fucking category. And, and they constantly refer to the Holocaust when they're the biggest Holocaust deniers of the fucking planet. They deny the Armenian Holocaust, which, half of my people got wiped out, half of your people got wiped out. They deny that. So I don't think it's right for them to whine about the Holocaust and force feed every single fucking children, all the fucking children and students, this fucking Holocaust narrative and hijack the entire fucking World War II and make it about the fucking Jews when 85 million people fucking died during World War II. It wasn't all about the fucking Jews, but they make every movie about the fucking struggling Jews and how they had to fucking endure all this stuff. And yet, they can't recognize the Armenian Holocaust. We lost half our population. They didn't lose half their population, but yet we have to hear about it every fucking movie, every classroom, every museum, nonstop on every show.
Well, why though? Why what?
Why do they play the victim card so much?
So let me ask you, who made the movie about Armenian genocide?
I don't know who made it.
Did you ever watch the movie with Christian Bale?
1917?
No, not 1917. The recent one with Christian Bale. I think it's called, if you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. You'd love the movie. But it's called Belief or hang on, Courage, Armenian Genocide movie. What's it called? The Promise. Have you seen it? No. It's ridiculous. I'll send it to you afterwards for you to watch. But The Promise. Do you know who made The Promise?
I don't.
The owner of MGM, Kirkorian. Okay, he made The Promise with Christian Bale. He put $100 million into it. The budget was $90 million. They made $12.4 million is what the movie did. But it's actually a very good movie. It's worth watching. But the point I'm making there is an Armenian created $9 billion of wealth for himself that he could use the money to make the story, to tell the story of what really happened with the Armenian genocide.
I think you're missing the point. It's not about what they do in Hollywood with their money. It's about the fact that the government puts this in the school systems.
But why do they put it in the school systems?
Because they're controlling our fucking government.
Why do they control our government?
I don't know, because they assassinate presidents. They assassinated JFK because they have a Mossad operation in fucking Epstein Island. They get blackmailing our politicians. They give hundreds of millions of dollars via APEC. That's why they fucking control the country.
Epstein's brother.
Yeah, but that's why you asked the question. That's why they control the country.
But the point is.
But is that right? Like, I'm
not saying it's
just because they control it doesn't mean that it's like a pat on the back because they're doing it through fucking illegal means.
So, brother, I'm a business guy. So are you. I'm looking for solutions. What is the solution? What's your solution?
The solution for what?
To this challenge here that they're able to make all these movies, tell the stories, put in the schools, put in all this stuff.
That's not my issue. My issue is our support of Israel, and my issue is like Israel's control over our government. That's my problem. It's not these fucking movies. That's like proliferated shit. My issue is that Israel's controlling our government. They have, Mossad operations to get dirt on our politicians. They're fucking bribing our politicians. That's my problem. Okay. And they're doing it to the U.S.'s detriment. And they're going to drag us into one more fucking war where we have U.S. citizens dying for fucking Israel. Yeah. As a veteran, you should not want to fucking see that.
I'm not for it.
Iraq was a fucking joke. And we did that because that dumb fucking Netanyahu got in front of Congress, lied out of his ass, and said there was weapons of mass destruction when everybody fucking knew there was.
We said it as well, bro.
No. It came from him.
No, it's not about it. Didn't come from him. It could have come from him, but we did it as well.
He testified in front of Congress.
I remember that
there was weapons of mass destruction. And it was complete fucking bullshit.
But we said it as well. But again, for me, the only thing I'm interested in, everything you're saying, I don't disagree with the things that you're saying. For me, it's what's the solution? Because they're going to continue making money. BlackRock's not going to slow down tomorrow because we're doing this podcast, and all of a sudden they're going to say, oh, Dan Bilzerian, you make sense. Guess what? We're going to stop pushing our agenda
so much. For BlackRock, that's for the people, man. BlackRock ain't going to change. They're going to operate in their own self-interest. They're going to push this fucking DEI bullshit. They're going to force all the companies that they fund to push DEI bullshit. The only thing that the people can do is fucking push back, start boycotting this stuff, stop fucking supporting it. And, you ask like what the solution is. I mean, why is Israel even an ally? I mean, why when they shot down a civilian plane, did we just say, that's fine? But when Russia did it...
You mean a ship, the UNFILTERED?
They shot down a commercial airliner that flew over their airspace that had civilians in it. When Russia did that, that was an act of war. Why is there a double standard?
Why do you think?
Because they control our fucking government. I said it.
But again...
Why do you think?
Well, I mean, if you want to find out, like, what the first thing would happen for this to be stopped, again, solution-oriented. If we say, what's the first thing? You know what the first thing is? If we stop lobbying, half the shit stops. If the concept of lobbying stops, we had Paul Manafort on the podcast. Yeah, I don't know if you know who Paul Manafort is. Is it Paul Manafort? Anyways, we had one of the bigger lobbyists on the podcast. Him and Roger Stone started their company many, many years ago. And I said, so what do you think about lobbying? I said, do you think it's a good thing? Or do you think...
I think it encourages corruption, is what I think.
I fully agree. But you know what he said? He said, the other side's doing it, so we're going to do it. So if today lobbying stopped, these guys wouldn't have the kind of power that they have today.
The whole system's broken. That's the problem. It's broken, and government just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And yeah, I mean, listen, this country was founded because we didn't want to pay 1% fucking tax on tea. Don't forget that.
We were willing to fight for 1%. That, and now
1% tax on tea. That's why we have this fucking country. Come a long way from there.
What's your point?
My point is that, we should fucking stop putting up with this bullshit, and there should be fucking changes made. Like our politicians are not running our country. We think that they are. They're just not. And
you think it's ever going to change? You think the format's going to change?
I think that when we have our economic crash, that might be a catalyst. I think people are lazy, and I think they're pussies, and I don't think they're going to do jack shit until their way of life is threatened, and I think people will do something. That's what I think. But I think it'll take an economic collapse for anybody to do anything. The government's not going to initiate it, that's for sure.
Well, don't you think an economic collapse would actually benefit them? Would actually benefit the people of power to be able to give more free things during that time for where people are willing to give up even more?
They can inflate, and they will. They'll print more fucking money, but that, can't go on forever. This like fairy tale of just like printing and printing money, like that doesn't work. I mean, like, let me ask you this. Why do you think the quality of life now is lower than it was 50 years ago when we have all this technological innovation. We've got the ability to produce things for a lot cheaper cost. We've got the ability to mass scale. Why do you think our quality, like, where's all the money getting sucked out of? Like, where's all the money going?
If you go on 50 years, you're talking 74.
No.
So are you talking technical? You want a technical answer, or you want just a...
I'm saying, where'd the money go? Well, how did all that money get sucked onto the economy so that, you know, we are having a shittier average quality of life than we were 50 years ago?
Well, if you're talking technically in 1972, when Nixon took U.S. off the gold standard, shit changed because America can print as much money as they want. You couldn't when it was based off the gold standard. So the recklessness started after 72. So if you're talking that, that's that part. Because now we can just do what? Hey, you know what? What do we need to pay off? Print another $1 trillion. Print another $4 trillion. Print another $6 trillion. It's okay.
Exactly.
And by the way, just so you know, the more money they print, guess who makes the money? You know what the money goes up to? The people that have businesses.
Yeah, I mean...
But if you're asking a technical question, that's where the wild, wild west started. Where typically it's like, okay, hey, Dan, you know, can I get $100,000? Yeah, here's collateral. Okay, cool. I got it. $120,000 watch, shit hits the fan. I can sell this, no problem. Mm-hmm. This was gold. What's collateral now? I got you, bro. You're good.
I get it.
I'm USA. I got you. It's the fiat currency.
But why do we start the Fed? Why do we start the tax? Why do we get off the gold standard?
Yeah. I'm with all of it. But I'm curious what you think, because you got a smile on your face.
I've already told you what I think's the problem. I've said it numerous times. I mean, our government is not being fucking controlled by the people who say they're controlling it. You know?
You seem very optimistic.
I'm not. I'm actually not very optimistic about it. Like I said, I think it's going to take an economic collapse for anything to change.
You ever read the book Fourth Turning?
No.
Yeah, the guy talks about how U.S. goes through 4 turnings every 20 years. Things change every 20 years. I had him on the podcast 2 months ago, something like that. Neil Howe is his name. And by the way, he wrote this book in 97 with a guy named William Strauss, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, they said, well, here's what happened for this 20 years. Here's what happened here. They made 5 predictions. One of them was Russia's going to invade a neighboring country, which they did. 2, they said market crash. 3, they said there's going to be a big pandemic. 4, they said something about the Tea Party. And 5, they said in 1997, they said civil war. You know, there could be a possibility of a civil war where the 2 sides can no longer get along and understand each other, where that's going to be the collapse. Not a market correction, a flat-out civil war, where you're going to sit across another guy like, dude, we're never going to agree on what you're saying here. We're living in 2 different countries here. You're in La La Land. That was the prediction they made. And they said the civil war is going to be taking place somewhere between 2008 and 2028. And they wrote this in 97.
That's crazy.
They wrote it in 97. And we're kind of living in it today because, you know, the last 4 years exposed a lot. But for me, the level of optimism comes in moments where you feel like you no longer have control. This is for me. Again, not for you. I'm talking to you for myself. This is when faith plays a role to bring optimism. This is when you go back and think about with Hitler, where there was a guy named Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I don't know if you know who Dietrich Bonhoeffer is. This guy was the guy that, the way Hitler was able to get what he did to Germany, he went after churches. And he feared, if you believe in God, that's the only thing he can't beat. Same thing with Russia. What's the first thing Lenin and Stalin did? It's materialism. God doesn't exist. The more you eliminate faith in people, the more I can control you. You ever seen the movie Book of Eli with Denzel?
Yeah.
Remember when he says, this one book, if I get this one book, I can control the people. I can control the people. And Denzel didn't want to give the book to the other guy because he wanted to do bad things with it rather than doing good things with it. No, man, I think hope and faith is a very valuable quality that the enemy fears.
Well, I mean, there's a full-on attack on Christianity right now, and it's being, you know, waged by the media. Did you watch the Olympics?
Of course.
It's fucking utter blasphemy. Like, it's just like acceptable. Like, it's acceptable to...
Why does it bother you though?
Why does it bother me?
Because you're not a Christian, but why does it bother you?
Because it is fucking an unnecessary attack on a large majority of the world's faith for no fucking reason. Who benefits from that? Like, why is this transgender stuff just being shoved down your throat every time you fucking turn on TV? Why are we having men and women's sports? Like, it's nonsense. It's utter fucking nonsense. People are too scared to say anything about it.
I think people are louder today.
They're getting louder.
Yeah, because of one guy. One guy gave a platform for people to be louder. If he didn't buy Twitter in 2022, America's a very different America today.
Yeah.
Very different America today. And this goes back to the argument I was making to you, which for me, the argument is, I'm not surprised that Jews are making movies to say they're great. The first Titanic that was ever made was made and directed by Hitler. Do you know who the hero was in the first Titanic? A Nazi soldier. That's his job. His job is to convince us Nazis are good people. And then you watch...
Do you think Nazis are bad people?
I think depends who you ask. You ask a German, you ask somebody that was part of, that's their representation, that's their country. You think CIA is good to people in Iran? They hate the CIA.
I think the CIA is a terrorist organization. And I think that, ever since I was a little kid, I knew that Nazis were not the bad people. They were people that were born in fucking Germany that joined that army. Just like people in America joined the fucking American army. This whole idea of like a boogeyman of like all the fucking people born in Germany are just like all of a sudden homicidal killers and they're all really bad. It's just fucking nonsense. Like the idea that all Muslims are terrorists is just fucking bullshit. But that's what Hollywood keeps fucking pumping out there, is like every fucking bad guy in these movies are always these fucking jihadi terrorists, like they're always the fucking bad guy. They're not. They're a fucking quarter of the globe. Like a quarter of the globe is Muslim. They're not all fucking bad guys. They're not all terrorists. They're actually like a pretty peaceful religion. But like, I don't like this propaganda being like shoved down your fucking throat all the time.
So you think, okay. So you said earlier, did you watch the Olympics opening? Great. Who do you think did it? Okay. Are you alluding to the fact that Jews were the ones that are funding the Olympics, the commercials? So because of that, they made fun of Christians. Is that kind of where you're going? Or no, you're just saying they're mocking Christianity, period.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's.
Okay, I got you. I thought you were going there. No, but to me, okay.
I just don't think like on a worldwide stage, mocking a religion is acceptable.
I fully agree.
Like it's atrocious. And especially like this injection of gay shit, which is just like, why? Why does everything have to be gay? Why do transgender people have to fucking read stories to children? Why do you have to have gay books talking about gay sex acts for 9-year-olds? Like when I was 9, they didn't tell us about sex at all. You weren't in fucking puberty. Like, why do you have to learn about like homosexual acts when you're 9 years old? Like, it's just nonsense. It's utter fucking nonsense. And who's pushing that? The fucking media. The media is pushing that. The media is saying that that's okay. So I'm not okay with that.
Neither am I. I got 4 kids. Trust me.
Yeah.
I lived in LA 24 years. I lived in Dallas 5 years. I'm in Florida because of that. So in Florida, vaccines. We were talking about vaccines earlier, you and I, about, whether you took the vaccine or not, conversation you and I were having. But, even in Texas, if you want to use religious exemption for your kids to not take the vaccine, even if they go to a Christian school, you still have to have your kids take it and show the card. You know what it is in Florida?
What's that?
You just say it. And they're like, okay, no problem. No questions
there shouldn't be any requirement anyways. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like, you announced you're running for office in 2015. It sounds like you're going to run again. I mean, you're very firm in some of the convictions you're having. And what's interesting about it is you're going through now. So I don't know, are you a guy that reads a lot or no? Are you a big reader? Do you read a lot of books?
I read a little bit. Not a ton. I mean,
is the interest there for you to go deeper and deeper on this topic, or is it surface level?
I'm a lot more interested in politics in general, I'm watching what's happening in the world, and I think things are accelerating at a very rapid rate, and there's a fucking problem, just like, that's why I did the fucking whole course for guys, because I feel like there's a problem with fucking dating. Guys are doing the wrong thing. They're getting bad results. Half the guys are just quitting on dating. Like there's some real problems in the world. So
tell us about the course you're doing.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of the premise of it, is guys have bad directions. They're doing the wrong thing and they're getting a bad result because of that. They're quitting. And nobody's really like putting out the fucking good result. In fact, they're giving them like really bad directions. Like Hollywood's giving them horrendous directions. And so because of that, people have bad maps. Bad maps don't lead you to the right place. You're better off not to have a map. You go to the fucking gas station, you ask them, where this and this is, and he tells you fucking go up the road, take a right, and then go 5 miles, take a right, go up the road 3 miles and take a left, and you'll get there. And the place is back this way. You're worse off for having these bad directions. And that's where I think, the state of dating is guys are much worse off for having these bad directions. And, so yeah, I just kind of wanted to like lay out there the correct approach, because that's what I mean. Look, I dedicated a big part of my life to my sex addiction, right? So I learned a lot, and I learned a lot because I had a big sample size of girls that wanted to sleep with me that I screwed it up with, and a large sample size of girls that wanted to sleep with me that I also slept with. And only in cross comparing that data can you really figure out like what is effective and what's not effective. Like if you have a bunch of girls that don't want to fuck you, you're not going to learn that much from that, because like maybe they don't want to fuck you because you're Armenian, maybe they don't want to fuck you for this reason or whatever. But like when I have a large sample size of girls that for sure want to fuck me, and I know that because they sent me a DM butt naked with their asshole spread saying I want to fuck you, so it's a pretty good indicator, right? And I screwed it up. So I'm just saying, like in cross comparing that data, I was able to figure out like what things guys are doing wrong and what things I was doing wrong. And one of the things that I was doing wrong that most guys were doing wrong is I was over communicating interest with the girls that I really liked. I was getting a bad result with the girls that I really liked. And then every other girl that I didn't care about, I was fucking and having a great relationship. They were chasing me. And what it broke down to was like the difference between pursuing and being pursued. And when you pursue something, you don't think about its flaws. You think about, how do I get it? Kind of like you're at an auction. You're not thinking about like, the flaws of this item. You're thinking about the other 5 guys that are fucking bidding on it and the loss that you're going to feel if you don't get it, right? So when you're pursuing something, you think about how do you get it, right? So most guys are pursuing the girl. And what that does is put the girl in a position of, I know I can have this guy. Do I want him? When you're in that position, it's like when somebody's trying to sell you something, when somebody's trying to pitch you a fucking idea. And I bet you get pitched all the fucking time. You got a lot of money. So sure you get pitched. When somebody fucking pitches you, the first things that you think about is what's wrong with this fucking deal. But if you want to get involved in a deal and the fucking round is closing and 9 fucking of your best buddies just got in there, you're going to be a lot less fucking worried about what's wrong with that fucking deal. You're going to be more worried about how the fuck do you get in it. You're going to trust that they did the fucking due diligence, right? The same thing is true with pre-selection with men and women. And there's just a lot of these concepts that guys are just completely fucking unaware of. And so I wanted to lay out a foundation of like the things that they're doing wrong, the things that they should be fucking doing, and an understanding of the psychology of like why these things work, why these things don't work, why this is bad, why small things have a fucking massive downstream negative effect. And, and then the power struggle in relationships. I see a lot of guys in these relationships and they're just like, they're just constantly making these concessions. And then eventually like these things become expected and not appreciated. The woman has way too much fucking power, doesn't respect the guy, and then ends up cheating on him. And I know because I was the guy that they fucking cheated on with all the time. And I would hear these fucking girls and the story it already started with, he was such a nice guy, but, such a nice guy, but, and then it's like, then she fucking cheats on him. And it always starts like that. And I think a lot of guys think that because in business or because with friendships, they put in a lot of this effort and that effort is rewarded with a, promotion or a fucking raise or whatever in jobs. And in friendships, your buddy has your back in a fucking fight, shows up fucking 2 a.m. to help you out. Like you're going to have his back in the future. So positive correlation with this effort. However, in a relationship, that positive correlation, is not fucking there. It's actually a negative correlation. The more effort that you put in before you've had sex with a girl, the more you actually get punished for that. And so this is something that like is not intuitive because in your life experience, it's been the opposite. That's why a lot of successful guys actually have a lot harder time with these girls. And my broke friends actually get more pussy than my rich friends. And my rich friends actually a lot of times use their money to their detriment instead of to help them, because money is a very powerful tool, as you know, with a lot of things in life. And also it can be with women, but most guys implement it incorrectly. So anyway, yeah, that was one of my passion projects. I enjoy helping people. And that was like one of the, things that I've realized was like, I got more enjoyment from helping somebody else out than I did buying myself a Ferrari or whatever the fuck car of the week I wanted to get, And so yeah, I focused the time on that. And while I was doing that, I happened to fucking start noticing these fucking politics. And I got to a point in my life where I feel like I've gotten more than I was ever probably fucking deserving of And so I just am at a place where I just feel like I should fucking do the right thing, whatever the cost. And so that was why I have been going hard on this Israel to my fucking financial and personal detriment. But whatever, man, it's the fucking right thing. So that's what I'm going to do.
I love it. Brother, this has been great. Really enjoyed it. And looking forward to seeing what you do next, man. And by the way, we're going to put the link below to the whole academy you're talking about. Cool. We'll put it below for people to be able to see it. We appreciate you. This is fantastic.
Likewise.
Thank you. Yes.
In these uncertain times, if there's anything we need people to believe the future looks bright. So if you've heard about me saying this mission to you, we're on a mission to get 1 million people to wear this gear. And this is what we're doing. If you buy one of these hats, there's a category of buying one hat, getting the second one free. If you haven't yet worn this gear publicly, go ahead and test it out. Buy some of the gear, wear it in public, and see how many people will stop by and say, you also watch Valuetainment? You also follow PBD Podcast? I do too. Place your order. Go to vtmerch.com, click on the link above or below, place your order, and represent the VT and the PBD Podcast gear.
I have to tell you a little secret here is... Are you joking? No. Nobody knows this, but it's in the contract. When I won the gold, I mean, the experience is the best moment I've ever had. And right there and then I knew my life is going to be different. It's not going to be the same. America needs help. And right now with our current president, I just feel that it's not getting the help necessary to make this country what it is. And that's great.
What was your first experience with Trump, meeting him?
Oh my gosh. I golfed with Trump. So that story came out. So Trump calls me 2 minutes after that.
I'm not coming.
I'm not coming by. I've gotten hit by fighters who have taken testosterone, whether it's a man or female. It feels like getting hit with a baseball bat.
Has there ever been a boxer that went to UFC or no?
No, we're not that stupid. He was my childhood idol, and I ended up fighting him. I hit rock bottom not once, but several times. When I realized that I cannot perform, I started to convince myself that I wasn't worthy of anything.
No, at 7 years old, you're saying you're going to win the gold.
I'm going to win the gold medal in 1992.
Is this anywhere? Is this?
Oh, I have that poster.
So obviously when you're doing a podcast with Oscar, you got to talk to him about a lot of different things. And Ryan Garcia, we talked about today, he had some interesting things to say about Ryan. I asked him when's the last time you and Ryan spoke and how he feels about the whole thing with permanently, being banned from, he'll give you the detail. We talked about Canelo. We talked about the Mayweather fight, and he told me something I had never heard before. Because, most of the time when you hear about his fight with Mayweather, even Ryan said, well, Oscar knew how to better negotiate the contract, that he was able to get the terms to be on his favor. But there's one thing he missed out, and he'll tell you, which caused Mayweather to retire for 1 year and 1 day. And there's a reason for that, never spoken about. He tells that story. I asked him about Trump, and he said many years ago, he asked Trump to come to his fight that he was having with Khan versus Canelo. And he was having this fight in May of 2016, and he calls Trump in 2015 and say, I want you to come to the fight. And they get on a phone call together, and Trump says, great, I'm going to come to the fight because I'll be in Vegas, but let me check my calendar. And then Oscar had leaked something he said to the AP that Trump found out about. And he says, I'm not coming to the fight. But then I asked him a question today, which he was uncomfortable. You'll feel it as well. And I said, if you were to vote for Trump today, would you consider the vote? I'll let you know. Watch it for yourself to see what his answer is. We talked family. We talked decision-making. We talked Bob Arum. We talked promoters. We talked about boxing potentially going away fully to the Middle East because, on the other side, Turkey has the money that these guys can't pay. There's a lot of things that was talked about. But I think at the end of the day, you're going to enjoy this, especially with today being the Olympics and him talking openly about the Algerian boxer when he won the gold medal in 1992. And he told a story about Michael Jordan and these guys that you just have to, again, if you're a sports guy, you like competition, you're following a boxing story, you're going to love today's podcast with Oscar De La Hoya.
30 seconds. Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
So today I'm sitting down with Oscar De La Hoya. Here's some stats for you to consider. He's won 10 different titles, 6 different weight classes. Today's the Olympics, right? This guy won the gold medal in 1992 at the age of 19, the same year that the great dream team was playing. Michael Jordan, Barkley. He was telling me stories. I said, Oscar, I don't want to hear the stories. I want to hear the stories on the screen is what I want to hear. And then at the same time, I was pulling up another stat. We're in the next door. My kids are over here. We're in Vegas at our annual conference. And I asked Dylan, I said, Dylan's 10 years old. And Sean, my nephew, is turning 15, I think, tomorrow. And I said, so how much do you think Oscar De La Hoya's career earnings was in boxing? And Dylan, he doesn't follow boxing a lot, but he knows. He says, well, $20 million. I said, $20 million. I said, Sean, what do you think? Sean says, $153 million. I said, try $700 million. Try being the 27th highest paid athlete in the world. We're not talking boxing only. So there's obviously a lot of, some people love Oscar, some people don't like Oscar. This is the world he's in. He's got his personality. He has a reputation. He's been around the block he's been a famous celebrity for many, many years, 3 decades plus. But you cannot sit there and not respect the numbers that he's at in the space and what he's done. And then we had a chance to do business together on an insurance deal together, I think 7-8 years ago with Gabriel Brenner. And the former owner, he was one of the owners of a Houston Dynamo. He got involved very early. I won't give the numbers, but let's just say it was a beautiful exit for him. Oscar, it's great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. Good seeing you.
So,
and congratulations.
Thank you.
On everything.
Yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It was interesting how it happened because one of our guys, Greg Scher, we meet at an event through another guy named David Finnemore. And then Greg says, I'm looking for some insurance deals. And then Greg gets a hold of Tom. They talk, they come in, they want to raise $10 million. He brings Gabriel Brenner, the first Mexican-born professional sports owner in America. This is a guy that sold the Disney home he owned for $74 million a couple of years ago. So he's made a couple dollars. And then they said, hey, what do you think about Oscar? And what if this is Oscar, Hispanic, our agency, 54%, ended up working out for everybody. So, okay, couple things. Olympics going on right now, right? And there's a lot of different stories. And when you think about Olympic gold medalists, like if we were to say the top 10, 20 famous Olympic gold medalists that people tell the story, you're one of them. Your story always comes up. Yeah. Whether people follow boxing or not, they know, right? They know, hey, Oscar De La Hoya, young, 19 years old, you were doing what you were doing. When you went in, controversy comes up with this Algerian boxer that I'm sure you followed. I think you commented on it. You said a couple words about it, right? The main Khalif, if I'm butchering the name, forgive me, Algerian. At first, everybody's saying, male boxer, all this stuff. In 2023, I think she failed a gender eligibility test for the World Championships. According to the IBM, when they asked what it was, they said they found something, but they never said anything. In 92, when you went in to the Olympics to represent America, what tests do they do on you? What backgrounds do they get on you? Is it just blood? Is it what kind of testing did you guys do?
I don't remember any testing. I don't remember any blood work, any urine tests that they do. I don't remember that. And back then in 92, it was more about, I guess people respected you more. They had confidence in you that you were not going to take any type of supplements or any enhancing type of drugs that are going to help you win gold medals. So it really wasn't popular at the time, I don't think. Maybe randomly, once a year, they would test you, or once every 6 months. But I don't remember getting any tests done in Barcelona.
So when you saw the story about this Iman Khalif, the story that we're hearing about, and you watch her boxing and the Italian boxer quits, I think after 46 seconds, some number like that. And she says, I've never been hit like this before. And then at first, everybody posts transgender, this, that. And then story comes out, she was born a female. Here's a picture with the dad when she was a kid. But then they're going back and chromosome this, testosterone this, she didn't pass this. You're in the world, you're in the space. What are your friends? What are you guys talking about right now when you see something like that?
Well, I was watching with my partner, and it's dangerous. Any type of high level testosterones that any athlete might have, whether it's a man or female. It's just dangerous, especially when you're in a sport where you're not throwing a football, you're not kicking a ball, you're literally hitting somebody's head in. So I just felt that, look, I mean, you look at the body of the person, and my gosh, it looks stronger than the opponents, than the women opponents that she's fighting. And so when I start reading, XY chromosome and this and that, and she got suspended prior to the Olympics, I believe in the World Championships. You start thinking to yourself, my gosh, what is the IOC thinking? What is the AIBA thinking? The governing bodies of boxing. And, they have to literally get their shit straight, basically, because it's been going on for a long time. Boxing is a sport that is very fragmented. Boxing is a sport that is really not universally organized, like other sports. You have the NBA, you have soccer, you have Major League Soccer, all that. Boxing is just so fragmented that we don't have people who are literally policing every single move and making sure that things like this don't happen.
Got it. So you there's two topics that I want to go to. The fragmented part, which is very brilliantly explained. Like in UFC, it's easy. Dana makes a decision, but in boxing, you got bomb. Every state. For these guys, who are those guys? You got the promoters, you got the contractors, you got pay-per-view. There's so much politics in boxing where there's not that much politics in maybe the UFC. But let's go back to Olympics. Based on what you've looked at with this, I mean, you're in boxing, so you're going to follow some of the boxing events that's going on. Are the conversations behind closed doors amongst peers where it's like, look, I thought maybe she was a guy, but okay, now they're saying she's a girl, fine, but she must be on something. She must be on testosterone. She must be on some PED.
Absolutely.
Is that kind of where you're at now?
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, look, testosterone levels in boxing are dangerous because you're punching somebody's head in. That's the bottom line. And, there's a strong argument you can make either way. So the bottom line is that whatever they're going to decide, the IOC, is what people have to go with. They have to believe. So I just feel personally, because I'm a fighter, I'm a boxer, I've been there in the ring, I've gotten hit by fighters who have taken testosterone. And let me tell you, you don't want to be in the ring. It feels like getting hit with a baseball bat. It really does. And it changes your body. It changes your physical inside, and you become stronger, whether you're a man or a woman. And so that testosterone level is, it's dangerous, like I said.
Got it. So, but you think there was something going on? Like you think there's something very weird about the situation you're going on? And what happens now? Like, because when I'm asking you in the 1992 Olympics when you won the gold medal, you're saying they didn't do any testing on you guys back then. Really. It was just kind of like, hey, you're representing America, come on in. So I wonder, do you know if they're testing now, or is it just kind of like you're representing and come in?
Yeah, no. The testing is most likely every single day, basically. After you compete, before you compete, they're always testing you every single day.
So if that is the case, wouldn't they know if the Algerian boxer is using PEDs or not, or is there still a way for her to get away with it?
There's still ways. I mean, as you know, as soon as they come up with something, there's always or some kind of steroid or high testosterone or whatever you want to call it. They'll invent something. Create a test for it.
Got it.
Some kind of masking, mechanism over here. So it's always evolving. It's always changing. So you just never know.
92, you're in there, 19 years old. You're going in. This is, in the history of NBA basketball, there's never been a more exciting, team that was ever put together. Even Magic Johnson, there's this 4-minute clip on YouTube that I've watched probably 100 times where Magic says, hey, the best game ever played at the Olympics in 1992 wasn't the game. It was us against each other, where Michael said, I'm the captain, you pick he picks Larry, he starts putting the team together, and Michael decides to destroy him, and Magic is talking shit to Michael. And then Larry eventually tells Magic and says, look, it's officially his league. Leave it alone. And then Michael comes in, and the world says, oh my God, Michael Jordan. You're coming up in boxing.
Sure.
Like at this point, you're Oscar De La Hoya, but you're not yet Oscar De La Hoya, right? You're 19-year-old Oscar Golden.
Sure.
So are they coming to your fight? Are you going to their game? Is there any interaction? Are you seeing Michael? Are you seeing these guys? What is that like?
Funny story. The whole team would go to every single fight. They would literally have this, I think the 5th row for them cleared off, and so to make sure they watch the fights. But
Michael would be at the
Michael would be there. Magic Johnson.
That's cool.
Barkley. Everybody would be there, and they would leave him alone, like as if they weren't famous. It was pretty odd. It was crazy. But they loved boxing. They loved the sport. And you can tell, I believe it was Magic Johnson who was more into the boxing. He would just stay there and just, I mean, you couldn't talk to him. You couldn't say anything to him.
And you're noticing this while you're in the ring.
Yeah. In between rounds, you're watching these guys like, wow, Michael Jordan just waved to me. Yeah, it was pretty distracting, but at the same time motivating.
But at this point, you're not famous yet, right?
No.
So this is the first fame you experience.
Yeah.
What is it like,
kid,
19-year-old? You're like, Michael's rooting for me.
Right. It's a surreal moment. I mean, you don't believe it. You think you're dreaming, right? It put added pressure to me to win the gold.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I had the pressure of winning it for my mother, who passed away from breast cancer a year prior to the Olympics. Mm-hmm. So that pressure from America, because the media now is making me the darling of the Olympics. You know, Oscar De La Hoya winning the gold for his mother. Can he do it? His dying mother, from breast cancer. And so that pressure for a young kid.
Wow.
I mean, imagine.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, having my dream team, winning that too. I mean,
wow.
It was a pretty surreal moment.
Did you have, like, when you won, like, was there a moment when you got the gold, some guys coming congratulating? Was there moments where the champions were together behind closed doors?
Everybody, yeah.
Do you have any stories of?
Oh, yeah, no. Well, first of all, when I won the gold, I mean, the experience is the best moment I've ever had.
That's your best ever?
On top of the podium, listening to the national anthem of America, and plus thinking about your mom who just passed away. I get chills now. It was just incredible. And yeah, the world just fell in love with me. After that, I became the golden boy.
That is, and now obviously Golden Boy, you
Right.
you got the promotional company, all this stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's going on. You're coming back from that moment of coming back into the fight scene. You know, what was the level of fame from there? What happened next? What was the next thing that happened for you, opportunity-wise?
Obviously, before the Olympic Games, I did have some kind of like fame, local fame in my neighborhood. The young kid coming up from East LA, winning gold. But when I landed in the U.S. in LAX, and this is when the public airports, they would let people in all the way into the gate. You didn't have to go through security.
No TSA.
There's no
2001.
TSA.
Right. That's right. That's a good point.
So the stewardess opens the door to the plane, and I'm right there standing, and there's a sea of 1,000 people just chanting Oscar, and I'm thinking, who are they chanting for?
Right.
I asked the stewardess, and they're like, my gosh, they're here for you. And right there and then, I knew my life is going to be different. It's going to change. It's going to be, it's not going to be the same.
How'd you handle fame at that time? Because fame is, when I watch a lot of guys at a smaller level, we're running an insurance company. We got 10,000 guys at MGM right now, conference, and I'll notice you get up on stage and you edify one of the guys in front of thousands of people. All of a sudden they get like this. Some of the guys you do, they're like, oh my God, I'm humbled. I don't like it. I'm uncomfortable. How do you manage and handle fame at a 19-year, at that age?
Yeah, I always felt I had an angel on my shoulder, and that's my mother, that was looking out for me, that was kind of guiding me and telling me what to say at every moment, and I handled it staying humble. I handled it, the fame was a little overwhelming at first, with women coming at you and taking pictures and wanting to your autographs, and it was a little difficult for me because I'm a shy kid, right, at the time. But in terms of winning big purses professionally and handling my money, and then handling all these people who are coming at me from all sorts of walks of life, I handled it pretty good. I was
at that time.
Yeah, at that time, at 19 years old. Yeah.
Were you always a womanizer? Like what Sugar Shane mostly talks about, what it was like. It's when we were, amateur fights. We would always go to Alabama or Michigan or this or that, and we'd go different places and we'd fight, and then we'd have a chance to go out there and party and the girls. And he would always, you know, he would tell stories about you, like how it was. Were you always pretty good with girls? Was that like high school, or did it come later on?
I was the shyest kid ever. I was, you know, and ironically, I was so focused on my training, on my boxing, that all that came afterwards. You know, when I started getting fame, when I started getting money, I became a little reckless, you know, after all that fame a bit. But in the beginning, no, I was a super shy kid.
When did the recklessness show up? What age was the recklessness?
I think it was after, it might have been after I retired from boxing.
First, what was that?
Yeah, I was 30, I believe I was like 38 years old.
So Oscar, so you're saying from 19 to 38, no drugs, no hardcore partying, nothing?
Zero, no.
Zero from 19 to 38?
No, not at all.
Literally?
I was super focused.
Okay,
It started happening, I started feeling empty in my last fight against Pacquiao. Yeah. When I knew that my skill level was diminishing, when I knew that I wasn't the same fighter when I started boxing.
38.
At 38 years old. I was a hard worker. I was the first one to be in the gym. I was the last one to get out. I was always the one waking everybody up at 4 a.m. to go run. So I put my body and my mind basically through hell for all those years. I dedicated my life. I had people in my life that were great for me that I just, you know, shoot away because I was so focused. And I lost a lot of friends, a lot of family because of the sport. But once I retired, once I knew that my body wasn't the same anymore, my mind wasn't the same anymore. I mean, when you're sleeping in silk pajamas, it's hard to wake up in the morning now, right? After so many years of doing that.
Yeah. And, you know, whether it's in bodybuilding, whether it's in military, whether it's in NBA, professional sports, they'll say when an athlete that's competing at the highest level, meaning you're a champion, and then there's the sudden retirement, marriage doesn't work out, recklessness comes up, you don't know how to handle stuff, you kind of lose some of the people around you because you went from such, like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Hurt Locker, where, you know, he comes back, he just can't wait for the next bomb to, you know, work on, and it's like, it's too peaceful, it's too this, so you can't handle the chaos coming back. Do you kind of feel like that was it, where it was, the chaos was so much when it stopped, now you have to create chaos?
Well, yeah, I was so disciplined in my craft for so many years since I was 6 years old, that when I realized that I cannot perform any longer inside the ring, I started to convince myself that I wasn't worthy of anything, you know?
38.
At 38 years old. It was incredible. It was a time of my life that was the lowest moment of my life. A lot of things happened that I regret, but at the same time, I use everything that I've done, everything that's happened to me in my life, I use it as motivation. That's the bottom line.
So let's go back to, let's go to 18. You're training, you're young, you're innocent, you're hungry, you feel like you got something, you're Mexican, you know, and, you know, your community wants to see the next guy coming up, the next Chavez. There's always been a good boxer. Was the vision gold medal? Was the vision champion? Was the medal vision, you know, being the Chavez, the face? What was your vision as the 18-year-old pre-winning anything big?
My vision since I was 9 years old, actually, was to win the Olympic gold medal. Yeah.
That's your number one?
That was my number one.
Why since 9 Olympic gold medal?
Back in '84, I believe it was, a fighter by the name of Paul Gonzalez from East LA won the gold medal as well. And so as a kid, I was like, my gosh, I want to be like this guy. I want to be a superhero. I was already involved in boxing and training for fights since I was 5. So I was already immersed into that world, into that sport. So I said, you know what, might as well reach the pinnacle of the amateur boxing you know, and so when 1992 came around, that was my goal for many years.
In your room, you know, as a kid, like if you came to my army barracks when I was 18 years old, and you looked around, you would see a bunch of supermodels, and you would see a bunch of bodybuilders. I wanted to be Mr. Olympia, so you would see Ronnie, Lee Haney, Dorian Yates, Kevin LeBron. You would see all these bodybuilders on the wall. And then you would see Angel Tevis, Amy Fadali. You would see all these, you know, Monica, all these girls that were on the wall, and then you would also see John Travolta on the wall. It was a given, because for me, staying alive, Saturday Night Fever, I was like the Middle Eastern Tony Manero is who I was in Tennessee. And by the way, you know, whether it is why, you know, the bell bottoms, the whole, you know, shirts from the shirts that you couldn't afford to buy, you would cut off and you have to buy from the Goodwill store because it's used. But what would your room, if somebody went back and looked at your room right now at 16 years old, what posters were on the wall?
Fight posters. I had nothing but fight posters. Like Salvador Sanchez, old school, like Azuma Nelson, Julio Cesar Chavez, when he was coming up. He was my childhood idol, and I ended up fighting him.
Crazy.
Yeah, that was
97 and 98.
Yeah, that was a crazy moment. But yeah, Muhammad Ali was a big one. I remember I received some kind of poster. I believe it was the 1980 poster. Somebody gave it to me, a family member. And I actually gave myself my first autograph to myself, like this to Oscar, Olympic gold medalist.
Get out of here.
1992. I still have that poster that I signed for myself.
How long before the Olympics?
Oh, I was like 7 years old. Yeah. So
wait.
Yeah.
At 7 years old, you said you're going to win the gold medal in 92?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this anywhere? Is this?
Oh, I have that poster. Yeah.
Are you joking?
No.
At 7 years old, you signed you're going to win the gold medal.
I'm going to win the gold medal in 1992. Yeah.
Who knows this story? Was this in the documentary?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's another story in the documentary where I was in kindergarten, I believe I was, and a teacher gave us an essay to write and, you know, homework, whatever. And one of the questions was, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I wrote, I want to be an Olympic gold medalist. So at the end of the class, the teacher calls me up, right? And I'm a kid reading my paper, you know, and my homework. And I say, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up? Olympic boxing gold medalist, champion. And not the students, but the teacher starts laughing at me. And right there and then, I started tearing up just a bit, but right there and then I told myself, you know what? I am going to work as hard as I can to prove you wrong, to prove the teacher wrong. That's when my motivation was just amped up 1,000%.
Yeah.
I had to win that gold.
That's it. So I wrote a book last year titled Choose Your Enemies Wisely. Right? And I talked about this word. People that make it to the highest level and become champions or winners in business, they typically have three people in common. They have somebody that gave them unconditional love. You did anything wrong, that person still loved you. Typically it's a mom, right? Number two is somebody that no matter what you ever did, you would never please or win over. Never. It was never enough. Yeah. Either laugh from the teacher or something like that. And the last one is they chose their enemies wisely. Michael, you know, political leaders, business owners, Elon Musk. Okay. They typically go through that. So it's interesting you're telling that story about. So, okay. So it was gold medal. You win the gold medal since 7 years old, signature, 92, you're going to win this. 19 years old. Then 4 years later, at 23, you're fighting a 34-year-old Chavez, which I believe at the time, his record was 97-1-1 or 99-1-1?
99.
99-1-1,
He
right?
was going for his 100th win.
He was going for his 100th win against you. That's right, so 90. So he's fighting you. And by the way, just to give context here, when I was going through it today, I had no idea when I went through this. This is the comparison I made. So you're 23 fighting a 34-year-old Chavez. Right. And in boxing, what would you say is prime? 31, 32, 33?
Yeah, 31, 32.
Okay, so he's 34, a little bit past that.
A little bit past.
Okay. And then, you know, I also looked up when the first time Canelo fought Mayweather. Okay. Canelo was 23. Sure. And Mayweather was 36.
Right.
So the comparison of 23-34, 23-36, right, was kind of interesting when you see those dynamics.
It is.
So the first one you guys fight, I think it's a TK. Is it 7th round, 8th round where they stopped?
Fourth round.
4th round.
Yeah, he didn't come out for the 5th.
He didn't come out for the 5th. And they're like, well, you know, we need to do it again.
Sure.
And then you fight him again. At this point, I think he's 101. He's had a couple more fights, 100, 101. He fought a lot.
Yeah.
And then you beat him again.
I did.
So what was, first, how do you feel about it the first time you beat him? But second time around, how did the Mexican community feel about you? Did they hate you? Were they kind of like, I can't believe you took out Chavez. Who the hell you think you are?
Yeah.
Were they still, I mean, even the story with your
absolutely.
father saying, prime, Chavez would have beaten you. That whole part that pissed you off, right?
Exactly.
How was that whole experience for you?
I mean, including a couple uncles to this day tell me, why did you beat our hero? I'm like, wait, I'm your nephew here. Come on, like, just give me some credit, right? But no, it was interesting because think about it. I win the Olympic gold medal. The world loves me. I can do no wrong. I'm the golden boy, right? Everything I touch, I turn to gold, whatever. Everybody loves me. And I fight Julio Cesar Chavez, and now the whole world is against me. I didn't understand it. I didn't know how to handle it at first. I would, bark back at people. Hey, what are you talking about? I am Mexican. My parents are Mexican, and I was born here.
What is the criticism they're telling you when they would?
Well, you're not Mexican enough. You're a gringo. You're born in the U.S. You're not full Mexican. Just childish things, I guess. But things that would irritate me. And so I remember facing my hero. I remember walking up to the ring, outdoor Caesar's Palace, sold out. You see Jack, Nicholson in the front with Dustin Hoffman and, everybody there, and the Bruce Willis, I can see him there sitting down, going for Chavez. And
going for Chavez?
Oh, yeah. He was the one that was rooting for. He would always root for me, actually, Bruce Willis. When I was fighting Pernell Whitaker, I can see him in one of the rounds where Pernell Whitaker hits me, and I can see Bruce Willis standing up and just cheering. Oh, yes.
He cheered against you.
Against me.
Okay,
yeah,
got it.
Against me.
And this is at the time, he's got his big movie, so he's the face of Hollywood.
Absolutely. And I saw him the other day, a couple of years ago, I saw him at one of my fights I was doing at the Garden in New York that I was promoting. And he was the super nicest guy to me. I'm pretty sure he was just super nice to me. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. Good times,
So you win first time, you win the second time. Yeah. When you're in there and you're watching, because there's got to be an element of guys that remember, right? Because to me, when you hear stories about a guy that, oh, you're against me, you're going to root against me, no problem.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember you for the rest of my life. Are you also, as a fighter, looking around to see who's rooting for you? Are you catching those small little things, or are you so focused in the fight that you're not seeing any of that?
At the moment, when you're in the fight, like, for instance, when I fought Chavez, I can walk up the ring.
Yeah.
I scope the people out. Then once you step foot inside the ropes, it's game on. You're laser focused. You're just completely in tune with your opponent. There's nothing else that exists. You just want to win and knock out your opponent.
Did anybody, when you win, so you win, okay, typically it's like, hey, it's your birthday, you get the most random text message. Like, oh, shit, those guys, my family didn't wish me happy birthday. But that's kind of cool. Okay. Hey, you got a Christmas card from these guys? Yeah. No shit. Getting a Christmas card. Okay, cool. Right. I'll take it. That's nice. And then, after fights, you're winning. There's a big victory you have. Some people will call you and say, hey, just want to tell you, man, great fight. Love what you did. And you're like, wow, I didn't know you were a fan of mine. When you beat Chavez, who were some weird people that called you, who rooted for you, famous celebrities that we would know where you're like, really, you rooted for me against Chavez?
Against Chavez, oh my gosh. Probably every single Mexican celebrity you can think of.
Oh, so the Mexican celebrities were calling you?
Oh, yeah.
Why were they happy that you meet him?
From presidents like Presidente Salinas de Gortari. He's Mexican, right?
From Mexico.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But are they saying something like, look, I like Chavez, but I just wanted to, is it that kind of a, got a diplomatic answer to give?
Diplomatic,
got
absolutely.
it. But was anybody that called and says, look, bro, I'm glad you beat him?
I'm glad you beat him. a lot of people called me
That you don't want to give the
that I don't
name?
want to give their names out. So yeah.
Would we know?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So let me ask you, how like right now, if my wife and I, we go to Argentina, we're having a nice little steak at the steakhouse. Everywhere we went in Argentina, I asked everybody the same question. Okay. The question is, hey, Maradona or Messi?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't ask that question.
Yeah.
Or some people would take it offense. How could you ask a question like that? Of course it's Maradona. You're talking about Maradona?
Yeah.
Messi. Messi's not like Maradona.
Right.
And they would be like almost a little bit annoyed with how could you ask a stupid question like that, right? But then some people will be like, it's like having two kids, you have to love both of them. I love both of them. It's what,
Right.
Is that kind of your thing when you go to Mexico? Did they say stuff like that to you? Or, what vibe you get now?
People, I get a lot of whispers like from Mexican nationals who tell me, you beat Chavez. Great job. We respect you, but we love Chavez. We're Mexican, and they whisper it in my ear. They don't want to say it out loud, because they're so
And it's
proud.
simply because he was born in Mexico. You're born in East LA, right? So look,
And
I'm
he's
just.
the hero. He's the Messiah. He's God in Mexico, right?
I wonder if
it's
they-
kind of like Maradona and
That's
Messi.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling up lists. Okay, I'm just trying to see what lists say the greatest Mexican boxers of all time. Now you got to realize most of these writers are older people, so the writers are not going to be writers. Number 12, this one list has Rodolfo Baby Casanova at 12. Then you have 11, Marco Antonio Barrera.
Yeah.
Then you have 10, Erik Morales, fun to watch. Ricardo Lopez, Miguel Canto. Then you have Vicente Saldivar.
Okay.
Then you have Alberto Baby Arizmendi.
Okay.
Okay. Juan Manuel Marquez. I was at the fight when he knocked out Pacquiao, and I was sitting next to his wife.
Wow.
His wife was gone. 4, they have Carlos Zarate.
Zarate, yeah.
And then they have Ruben Oliveras, and then they have, Hugo Chavez, and then Salvador Sanchez, right? When you look at some of these lists, right?
Yeah.
The greatest Mexican. Now, some of them say, well, he's not a Mexican born, so you're American. So on that list, it's really this. It should be Oscar.
Right.
But if you put in some of the lists that's greatest boxers of all time for that weight, you're ahead of what Chavez did. But some of the guys, old school guys, will get so annoyed if anybody says that.
Sure. No, I would say that, take me off that list, because there's been so many great champions that hail from Mexico who are Mexican nationals. I'm Mexican American. I was born in the U.S. I happen to have Mexican parents, and my blood is Mexican.
And you speak fluent Spanish.
I speak fluent Spanish.
Right, because Ryan gets the criticism, Garcia, but he doesn't speak Spanish. So he gets your criticism, but a little bit more. So how come you don't speak our language?
Right.
You're like when I ask my guys, our company, 54% Hispanic, a lot of guys from Michoacan, a lot of guys from Oaxaca or Sinaloa or Zacatecas, and they're so proud, that they're from all these different places. And my dad speaks fluent Spanish, and I'll say, so tell me about Chavez, Oscar, and Ryan. And they'll say, well, listen, Mexican, Chavez, Mexican. He says, but Ryan, at least, he spoke our language. He was with us. Yeah, I mean, Oscar. And then they say, but Ryan doesn't speak Spanish. And for whatever reason, anybody I ask, they always give me a hard time about the. I think, Ryan, if you're watching this, go on Hooked on Phonics, learn how to speak Spanish. Stop this criticism they're giving you, bro. I mean, my wife is learning Spanish right now. I'm sure you can get a good tutor.
Well, it's funny because so with me, I win the gold medal for the U.S., right? And if you notice, when I lifted the flags at the end, winning the gold medal round against Germany, Marco Rudolph, I lifted both flags, the Mexican and the American flag. So it's funny because, and I call him a friend, Salinas de Gortari, Mexico's president at the time, I believe in 92, yes. He calls me and invites me to the White House, which is called Los Pinos in Mexico. So you have the Mexican president calling me. You have, I believe it was Bush Sr., who was president at the time,
41,
calling me as well. So there's a famous little film back when I went to the White House, I believe it was, when the president invites you to the White House, and so Bush talks about me and how I did it for my mother. It was a very inspiring story, by the way. But I go on to the Jay Leno show. Back in the time, it was
he is
called
the guy.
the Tonight Show. He was the guy.
He was the guy.
It was my first time ever. And I told him, so I come out with my gold medal, with my red, white, and blue jumpsuit. And
You're 19?
I'm 19 years old. He introduces me as the golden boy from East LA. Everybody's going crazy. And he tells me, so Oscar, Jay Leno asked me, so Oscar, I hear you went to the White House. And so I tell him this story. Oh, yeah, I did go to the White House, and I was roaming around, with my gold medal, my red, white, and blue suit. And I found the restroom, so I sat down, and I was thinking to myself, wow, so this is where George Bush, has his best ideas on this throne here. And the people just went crazy. And that's where the golden boy was born, right there on the Jay Leno.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you think about saying that, or
No,
was it off the cuff?
It just came off.
Oh, okay.
It
So
just,
because
off the
sometimes
cuff.
like, well, here's
No.
that's cool because that makes it
It
even
was
more.
just so innocent that people just loved
19
it.
years old.
19 years old.
I'm sure they're gonna cut this clip and put it somewhere on TikTok with that clip being there with the flag. But so okay. So after winning and you're at this phase, we're still on this topic with Chavez and all these other guys. Do you consider yourself, like for me, my mom's Armenian, my dad's a Syrian.
Yeah.
I'm born in Iran, but I'm kind of made in America.
Sure.
And I'm an American, right? So people ask me, what do you think you are? I'm an American, right? Because what I see myself. For you, what do you think of yourself?
I'm American.
You're American.
Yeah, I was born in the U.S.
So you see yourself American, but proud of your Mexican heritage.
Yeah. It's very interesting because back then, it was rough. When you talk about races and nationalities, like for instance, I was the gringo. I was like, oh, you're not Mexican enough, and you're not one of us. You don't have Mexican blood. I was criticized left and right, but I stuck to my guns, and my message was always, I'm born in the USA. I love this country. It's my gosh. Especially back then, the US was better off, right? But
you're saying Biden and Kamala haven't done a great job.
I'm not saying anything.
I'm a little offended by that.
I'm not saying anything.
Oscar.
Let's not go there. But it was rough, especially when I fought Julio Cesar Chavez, because now I'm fighting a real Mexican. So now I'm the outsider. I'm like the villain here, against all of Mexico. So it was some challenging times, but I stuck to my guns. I'm proud. I'm U.S. I was born, won the gold medal for the U.S., but my roots are Mexican, and I love my Mexican people, and all my family's Mexican.
You can't do anything about this. But
it's odd because now all those people that were against me, okay, back then when I fought Chavez, all those people that were against me, so now they have kids that were born in the U.S., now in my position, right? So now they understand and respect me for that,
It took a generation maybe for that to happen.
It took a generation for that to happen.
Let me ask this question. So is there, again, for me, I followed this purely from a fan standpoint. My friend Saul Lopez, who's now with us at betdavid Consulting, he used to live in Silmar. You know Silmar. So he was in Silmar, and they would always go and watch the matches. And we would, one time we're at their place, they're making carne asada, everybody's there. These guys are full-blown Mexicans. I'm talking Mexicans, superstitious. Look at how Mexicans are very superstitious. Like, no, you can't do that. When he did that last time, he lost the fight. I want you to do this. All these weird things, right? And it's always fun when you're around Mexicans who are superstitious because you can have a lot more fun with them. But we're watching the is it Vargas against Tito? I think it's Vargas Tito. It was a good fight, right? They knock each other up. It was a good fight. They're proud to have somebody that's a Mexican born. So would you say still Canelo's love comes from people because he is born in Mexico? Is that kind of where the pride comes from?
Absolutely.
Where he is a Chavez type because he's born in Mexico, and you and Ryan are American, but your family came from Mexico.
Yeah, it's different. It's totally different. And, I happen to have a fan base that is global because of the Olympics, because of Barcelona, because of my mother's story, winning the gold for her, died of breast cancer. Impacted a lot of people all over the world. So I don't think people will ever forget that. Whether they like me or not, that's a whole different story. But yeah, the fact that you're born in Mexico, like Chavez, like Canelo, and the fact that Canelo took up English and now connects with the American public is it's a plus. It's great for his career. He's you can see it in his pay-per-view numbers, for instance. I remember because I promoted Canelo for many years. Throughout his whole career, I was with him for, since the beginning. And I would tell Canelo, speak English. It's very important that you speak in it, even if you just say a few words and have a connection with the American public. And sure enough, I mean, it did wonders for his career.
In these uncertain times, if there's anything we need people to believe the future looks bright. So if you've heard about me saying this mission to you, we're on a mission to get 1 million people to wear this gear. And this is what we're doing. If you buy one of these hats, there's a category of buying one hat, getting the second one free. If you haven't yet worn this gear publicly, go ahead and test it out. Buy some of the gear, wear it in public, and see how many people will stop by and say, you also watch Valuetainment? You also follow PBD Podcast? I do too. Place your order. Go to vtmerch.com, click on the link above or below, place your order, and represent the VT and the PBD Podcast gear.
It's wild you're saying this. You know how my son came here and met you, my nephew, and we're talking soccer, right? And I say, hey, these guys are this, and Messi, Ronaldo, which one are you? And they're kind of giving their argument. It's like Messi doesn't do interviews in English.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And Ronaldo does. Yeah. So that allows him to have a wider range where maybe statistically for championship, World Cup, Messi has more, but because he doesn't do a lot of English speaking, many would say they don't really fully know Messi that well. They feel like they know Ronaldo a lot better.
Right.
So that's a good point with Canelo kind of speaking.
There's more of a connection.
Right.
You feel closer to that person who's speaking your language.
There's an element of thank you for taking the time to learn our language. We respect you. We're willing to give you loyalty.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. Let's go back to boxing. Trump for many years was Jersey, all that stuff, boxing. You hear Dana talk about Trump, what he did with him, right? Open it up for him, and the loyalty and the relationship that the two of them have. What was your first experience with Trump, meeting him?
Oh my gosh. It was actually pleasant, playing golf. And this is a hilarious story. So I was promoting Canelo versus Amir Khan. And Amir Khan is Muslim and Canelo's Mexican. And you remember at the time when I believe Trump stated to the country, all Muslims must.
Wow. What year? Is this 16?
Oh my gosh, was it 16?
Oh my God, if it's the peak. I
know it was right at the peak. This was before he was going to run. This was before he was
I remember this. I talked the whole picture.
There were whispers that he was going to run for office, whatever. So I have this political person on my team, right? He's like my PR guy at the time. And I had played golf with Trump 2 weeks prior. And it was the funniest, most hilarious golf game I've ever had because this man hits the ball. And I think he has like 3 balls in his pocket, right? And with a hole in it. So he hits a ball out of bounds and he'll say, oh, it's right next to the pin. It's right next to the... And we know that he's like lying. We know he's cheating, right? So front forward, we're in Las Vegas. I'm promoting Canelo and Amir Khan. And my PR guy tells me, we have to sell the fight. It's really not picking up, So I tell him, why don't we invite Trump, President Trump, to the fight? He said these controversial comments about Muslims and Mexicans, building the border and they're bad people. And so that would create a lot of hype and noise and we can sell more tickets. So I get a hold of this person that knows Trump. Long story short, Trump is on the phone. I'm inviting him to the fight. And he's like, yeah, I'll consider it. I'm actually going to be in Las Vegas that weekend, so let me call you back in about 5 minutes so I can find out from my team. So we hang up. 2 minutes after that phone call, an AP story breaks because I told the AP that I golfed with Trump and that he cheats. So that story came out. So Trump calls me 2 minutes after that.
John, I'm not coming.
I'm not coming by.
Game over.
That's it. Game over.
That simple little experience. Now, here's what's weird about it. You took, and by the way, I looked at the dates. The comments he made was December 6th or 7th of 15.
Okay.
And the fight I just looked up was May 7th of 16. So 6 months right after the comments making when he gives. That's interesting. What I'm saying is the fact that the timing of it. But you said something a few months ago. I just looked this up myself when I went on Twitter. I think you said something about who wants Trump for president, question mark. The reason why I say this is because America sucks right now. So, are you, even though maybe you made those comments about him back then, and you even talked about in 2018, you thought about running for president in 2020, whether that was marketing or whatever it was.
It was all marketing.
It was all marketing.
It was
okay,
all
God. So when you make, I mean, you see some people say that, but some people, a guy said that and he actually became a president. Everybody thought it was marketing, right? Has your position about Trump changed where you're at today?
Where I'm at today, I just feel literally that our country needs help. It really needs help. I mean, look, I was born in California, in Los Angeles. Taxes are through the roof right now. I'm walking my streets. I have a place in Beverly Hills, and even there, you see the homelessness. Just the situation is it's getting worse. And so I'm not sure if it's this party's fault or that party's fault, but America needs help. And right now, with our current president, I just feel that it's not getting the help necessary to make this country what it is. And that's great. Our country is great. It should be great.
Right.
Better than any country in the world. I just personally feel it's not.
Do you think when, I lived in California 20 some years, right? And Elon Musk, who voted for everybody on the left for the most part, California, right? Living in San Francisco, he leaves. Joe Rogan, let's legalize marijuana. I'm going to vote for Bernie Sanders. Vaccine is a good thing. He even said it on his special. Like, he used to say things like that. He leaves California, goes. Since 1851, the first time ever, California had a net migration, which means more people leaving your state than coming in. 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2000. First ever, we're back to back net migration of people leaving. Numbers came out during COVID, those 4-year period, 2 states, Oscar, lost $1 trillion of asset under management. So for example, you live in California, let's just say you have, I'm going to make up a number. Let's say you have $300 million of assets under management, and your guy is from Morgan Stanley or Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan or Goldman, whatever the money is, right? You leave from California to Nevada. California just lost that $300 million of under management to leave. 2 states lost $1 trillion. You have California, $1 trillion left. Some of it went to Vegas, some Arizona, a lot of it went to Texas. New York lost $1 trillion of management. Some of it went to Tennessee, a lot of it went to Florida, right? So one could say, where forget anything but policies. The policies on the left loses job creators, those who want to build a business, those who want to make money, and they're leaving blue states to go to red states, New York to red state.
Right.
Would you say, like, looking at that, some of the bad policies of California on the left is what pushed you out of California? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's fair to say.
Okay.
It's fair to say. And it's I'm really not political. I just want somebody to do a great job,
Do you think the 4 years that Trump was in office, you felt safer, you felt better about the economy, you felt safer about going and making money?
Yeah,
And
I actually did.
You did?
I actually did.
Yeah.
In my world, I felt safer. Yes. And this is on a personal level.
Of course. I totally get that. But, it's so many people, like the stories that are coming out right now, where it's kind of like, I never thought I would say this, but, I would actually consider right now to do this. Would you actually consider, even though that AP story happened in 2015, would you actually consider voting for Trump in 2024?
I would consider it.
You would consider it?
I literally would consider it. I have to tell you a little secret here is I actually just purchased the Donald Trump shoes.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did.
Seriously?
I just got them in the mail 2 days ago.
You're joking.
I'm not joking.
Seriously?
I'm probably going to wear them for the weigh-in and one of my fights.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Nobody knows this.
No, nobody knows it. I'm really considering it. So, look, whether it's Trump or somebody else, or our country needs help.
Yeah.
It just needs help.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. I don't know exactly what the policies are and where we can get help from and what we can change, but our country needs help.
Well, I appreciate you talking about that. I just kind of thought about what you were saying with it. So let's go to boxing. You said something earlier. You said boxing is fragmented, right? That's the word you used. And for me, when I look at NBA, I would see there's a commissioner, boom, they call the shots. Then you have the Players Association, you have the Owners Association, and then there's a collective bargaining agreement. But for the most part, you know, the NBA is going from the top and there's a decision being made.
Yeah.
When you look at boxing, you see the WBA, right? Which is what? The World Boxing Association.
Yeah, the organizations, the belts.
You got the WBC, World Boxing Council. You got the IBF, International Boxing Federation. You got the WBO, World Boxing Organization. Then you have the promoters, you, Hearn, Aram,
Right.
the Al Sheikh guy, you know, who's doing his thing.
Right.
Who is the shot caller in boxing? Is there anybody that is a shot caller in boxing or no?
There is no shot caller. You can argue maybe the commissions. Like for instance, if you fight in Vegas, the commissioner rules. The commissioner is the one who calls the shots, because he can basically give you a license or not license you to fight in his state in Nevada. And every
so they own the most power. Would you say that they can bully?
I say they would have the most power, the most influence.
Got it.
Las Vegas, Nevada, the mecca of boxing. This is where all the big major fights have happened. A lot of history here. So there's a lot of experience here in Nevada when it comes to boxing and the commissions. But like I mentioned, boxing is so fragmented. Well, every state has a commissioner. So every state is making their own rules, is making their own decisions. So basically it's kind of like the wild, wild west, basically, where if you go to Nevada, you have different rules than New York or New Mexico.
Who has the best rules? Who has the rules that you're like, you know?
The enforceable rules are here in Nevada. Yeah.
Okay.
They enforce them.
Who feels safest here?
Yeah.
Promoters, fighters, or, the media platform that make the money?
I think all of the above.
All of those three feel safest here.
Nevada has figured it out. Nevada has figured out, okay, we need network, we need promoters, we need the fighters. Let's take care of everybody and be fair.
So one would say, I don't know if you can play this card, but let's see if you could or not. Being a devil's advocate, okay? And saying, hey, Oscar, but look at UFC. Look at what they're doing. Look how they've grown. Look how, there is no politics. Dana, like, it's the only thing where if the referees get it wrong, he'll chew out the referee and be like, I can't believe, well, what was he thinking? What is that all about? While in NBA, they're so diplomatic. No, well, you can't say something like that. Fine $50,000, fine Mark Cuban, fine because he said something. But in UFC, I think it's the only sport where the commissioner running it calls out the referees who get it wrong. Yeah. You don't see that in any other sport. Right. I don't even think you see it in boxing. In boxing, sometimes, the criticism with boxing is the fact that, I think for every 3 fight that goes into decision, one of them people are going to be like, it's fixed. I don't trust it. There's bullshit. It's the mob. It's the da-da-da-da-da-da, like all this stuff. Zero things like that said with UFC. Why do you think UFC has been able to grow the way it has, where a lot of people say maybe one day it'll take over boxing? Sure. Why do you think they have done that?
First of all, the UFC will never take over boxing. I think it's two separate sports, and there's room for all of us. The UFC, when Dana White and the Fertitta brothers bought UFC, it was a distressed asset. I believe they bought it for like $2 million. And that space, that combat space, was never developed. There was no other league. It's not like boxing where you have history and years, hundreds of years where boxing existed, right? And so our system was already in place. Our distressed system was already in place for boxing. With the UFC, they built from scratch. They built it from the start. So they made up their own rules. They consolidated everything under one roof, and they were able to build a monster.
How much of that would you say is because money backing? How much of that you think is because Dana's a great operator? In my opinion, he's the best commissioner in all of sports. I don't think anybody does a better job commissioning than him. Yeah. How much you think it's him? How much you think it's the money, the marketing, the opportunity, the support, the Trump, or it's the collective? What would you?
It's collective. It's collective, and we cannot forget about the Fertitta brothers, the brainchilds behind behind the machine. Dana White has done an incredible job with running the machine, but the Fertitta brothers are the ones who had the vision to buy the UFC and literally build it from scratch. See, you didn't have UFC promoters competing when they bought the UFC. You didn't have combat sports promoters at all. That space was empty. That space was forgotten. Boxing was running 1,000 years prior to when they bought the UFC. It was already a mess. And to undo the mess is probably almost impossible.
Yeah, I think when you hear the story, it's Dana, this guy who builds the UFC, and his idea is to have sharks swimming around the cage. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but the guy had ideas of sharks literally swimming around the cage, and we're going to fight in the middle. And so, oh my God, this is crazy. And then Dana brings us up to the brothers, and they're like, okay, let's go. And then they split it up, I think equity-wise. It was 10%, 90%, whatever the structure was. And Dana ends up making a lot of money with it.
Sure.
But you see that turning into where it's at right now. Do you think anything can happen to boxing to fully destroy the sport? Is there any risk boxing has to destroy, or you think boxing is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger? Because when I look at fights, the highest paid fights of all time, right? I think when you fought Mayweather, you got the payday, right? You got 53 million or 55 million when you fought him.
Yeah, made that plus the pay-per-view. I mean,
I'm not counting that. I mean, you got plus that pay-per-view. You look at, so what year was that when you guys fought? That was what, 2007 maybe? 2007?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so 07, 17 years ago, right? Then you have Oscar, you guys, Mayweather, Canelo. That's 80 million. Mayweather made. Fury made 100 million. Right. The recent fight. Yeah. Disappointing fight. To be honest, as a fan, I was disappointed. I was expecting a better fight. Sure. I was disappointed after Ngannou fought Fury. I'm like, what was this all about? Right. Ngannou got him with the left.
Exactly.
And it was kind of like anyways, that was a little bit different. A part of that could be political because they definitely didn't want Fury to lose. Sure. Because then the fight couldn't take place. Right. Where Alexander could do his thing. Then you have Conor and Mayweather. Conor makes the 130. Mayweather makes the 280. Then Mayweather makes the 250. Manny makes the 150. Do you think the best days of boxing are behind us to get that kind of payday, or you think that's going to come up again? Because what is the next big fight like you and Mayweather, or
Sure. It would have to include Canelo. Currently, I think he's the cash cow, like they say in boxing. Any type of exhibition, these exhibitions are getting to a point where it's like, why don't we do more if it's generating so much money, right? Like Jake Paul, for instance, fighting a McGregor, or let's say Mayweather having an exhibition with Jake Paul. That can be huge. But those days, yes, you can make an argument that they're over, but they're not until the right fight is made. I strongly feel that in boxing, you can have a dry spell for so many years, and then you have this one big mega fight that will bring everything back. And that's probably what's wrong with boxing. We're not having that consistency. Like the UFC, we're not having consistent pay-per-views, main events happening every weekend. It takes time, a lot of negotiating with fighters. Sometimes fighters don't understand negotiating the right way. Sometimes you outprice yourself. Like, for instance, Canelo right now is asking for $200 million to fight Jose Benavidez, which would be a huge fight. Mm-hmm. But when Canelo's asking for $200 million, that's obviously saying that you don't want to fight.
What should he be asking for?
100. I think 100 is a fair number.
So you think Canelo's bigger than Fury? Do you think he's a bigger draw?
That fight can be a huge...
No. Do you think Canelo's a bigger draw than Fury?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So Fury got 100 million. He's probably sitting there saying, if you guys are paying Fury 100, why not get 200 million? So he can ask.
Yeah, he can ask for it, but he's not going to get it.
You don't think he's going to get it?
I've talked to Your Excellency and Turkey, and he's like, no, Canelo's outpricing himself. We're not going to do it.
Even they're not going to do it.
Even they're not going to do it.
And they have, they have money grows on trees.
Exactly.
Right. They actually have.
Exactly.
When they say money grows on trees, it actually does.
Literally does.
So he's even not willing to do 200 million.
Exactly.
Got it. So what are you saying, like, he's only saying 200 because he's dodging the fight, or are you saying it because he just wants to get paid, and that's what it is?
It might be both.
Okay.
But in boxing and over the years, when you don't want to fight somebody, you outprice yourself.
Canelo. So when I had Ryan on the first time, Ryan was talking smack about you, and this is the kind of where you guys are going back and forth. You know that season. This is like a year ago or whatever the season was, right? And then he's like, Oscar is who trained Mayweather on how to negotiate contracts. Like Oscar trained. He says what Oscar was able to do is Oscar was able to negotiate for Mayweather to get heavier set of gloves than him getting lighter gloves, and Mayweather eventually learned to be able to negotiate better on the contracts later on in his career, because earlier on he didn't know how to do that. How much credibility do you give to the fact that you were the better guy at how to put deals together that protected you versus maybe Mayweather had to learn that later on?
Sure. Well, I mean, before Mayweather fought me, he was making $2-3 million on my undercards. Before Pacquiao fought me, nobody knew who he was. And so after beating me, Mayweather becomes Money Mayweather, right? And he becomes this global superstar because he has the platform on pay-per-view. I think we sold 2-point-something million homes. And with Pacquiao as well, a star was born after fighting me. So they got a little taste of how to negotiate better terms for yourself, because my negotiations were one-sided against them.
Because you had the leverage?
I had the leverage. I was the golden boy. I was the ticket seller. Mayweather at the time was not selling out arenas.
So could you say you use bigger gloves than me? You can actually say that in a contract?
No, you got to wear. I'm not sure what Ryan was talking about, but yeah, you got to wear the same size gloves. You can. Let's see. What did we change with the Mayweather negotiations? It was basically it was basically an even negotiation, except for the purse. I believe I negotiated a 90-10 for myself.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. So you made 53, he made 5 million?
I believe he made something like 8 million all said and done. Yeah.
And what did you make all said and done in that fight?
I had to be closer to 80.
So you made 80 million, he made 8 million. So the negotiation was 90-10?
90-10, 80-20.
That's insane.
Somewhere around there.
So okay. Now who is at that time, are you technically involved in knowing how to do contracts, or you're trusting somebody to do it? Which one were you? Are you heavily involved in a contract?
I'm pretty heavily involved. Yeah.
Even then?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so but who did you learn from? Who screwed you over for you to realize how to protect yourself?
I learned everything from Bob Arum.
Did you get screwed in any contracts or not?
I didn't. See, that's the thing, is I didn't get screwed from Bob Arum. What happened was I'm fighting Trinidad, right? And at the time, it was the biggest fight ever, Mexican Americans against Puerto Rican. Right? And
he's loved.
We were undefeated, world champions, unification. And so Bob Arum offers me a flat fee of $24 million, okay? And he tells me, Oscar, do you want the guarantee of 24, or do you want to take the risk and take some pay-per-view money at the back end? I'm like, I want the 24. I'll take the 24 right now. Big mistake. Bob Arum ended up making more than me in that fight because of the pay-per-view revenue. And I made a good chunk of money. But then I said to myself, you know what? If I take the back end, if I get a smaller guarantee and take the more numbers in the back, I can make a lot more money.
How much would you have made if you took the back end?
I would have made close to 70.
So he kept the 70. So he kept that 46.
He kept a nice chunk for himself.
Okay, but
so he didn't steal from me or rip me off. He just out negotiated.
Did you watch the Elvis movie that came out?
Yes.
Have you seen the movie?
Yeah.
Did you kind of feel like that relationship with Bob Arum was kind of like the relationship?
In a way.
So was he straight up? Was it kind of like, let's just say I'm Bob, you're Oscar. Mm-hmm. Now it's public. Everyone knows the 46 that could have gone to you went to me, let's just say the 70 million, 24 million, whatever, right? We have the meeting, and I know you know, and you know I know. Mm-hmm. Is his style to say, Oscar, you chose to take 24 million.
Sure.
You could have chosen to take back end.
Yeah.
I know you probably know how much money I make, but that was the risk you took.
Sure.
Was it kind of like that?
Yeah.
Or was never spoken about it? Were you like, you know what I'm saying?
It was never spoken about it, but we knew.
So you didn't say you made money on this fight.
Right.
You, there was not that moment?
There was nothing like that, no. We just knew. We would look at each other and we just like, okay.
How's your relationship together till
It's
today?
great.
How's your relationship with Eddie? Because it's a pretty competitive side, right?
It's competitive, but it's so, look, I have no enemies whatsoever. You know, I actually literally live my life like a Buddhist now. I really do. You know, I don't wish them any bad.
Live your life like a Buddhist?
Yeah.
Oscar.
Yeah, I'm very just...
You're in boxing. There's shit talk.
I know.
There's calling.
That's
you're
what
in a
keeps
press
me sane.
You're in a press conference with Canelo. He's calling you out.
Right.
Never signed a contract. Did he do this? Did he do that? You're there talking shit to him, going back and forth.
Yeah.
Buddhists don't talk shit like that.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I'm at peace. That's it.
100%?
100%. Yeah.
So is that an act then? Or is that the
It's promoting.
the showmanship?
It's all promoting.
Okay.
That's all.
So let me ask the leverage with, you know, a lot of conversations are coming up about, you said who was the promoter that you called and you said even the $200 million he wouldn't do the fight even if they do in the Middle East.
Turkey, Your Excellency.
Right. Turkey, Al-Shifti, Excellency. 26.2 million followers on Instagram. Okay. Eddie's got 1.4. You got 1.2.
Yeah.
Bob Arum's not even on Instagram. He's not going out there posting.
Yeah,
Here's
no,
what I
he's
ate. On Twitter, he's got 93,000 followers. I'm sure he doesn't give a shit because he's made a lot of money. He could care less about that.
Exactly.
Right? Why? Like, how much of a threat is His Excellency to come in and literally dominate the marketplace because they're simply willing to overpay?
Yeah.
Things that maybe you're not willing to obey. I mean, Ronaldo went and played over there, right? All these guys are getting contracts. Come, we'll pay 200 million, 300 million, 400 million a year.
Yeah.
How do you compete with something like that?
You can't compete. He has the vision. Turkey has the vision. He obviously has the money, and but he loves the sport, and I'm all for it. His plan is actually smart. He wants to not take over the sport, but he wants to work with every promoter. And he wants to make the big fights.
Do you get that vibe?
I get that vibe, yeah.
You don't get the vibe of coming in saying, hey, we're the Yankees. What do you want to do? You can only pay him 12 million a year? Guess what?
Yeah.
Pay him 21.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about him. Come to our team. Because Yankees been bullying people for the last 40 years. And they have a bigger ability
budget,
to do that. And they'll take a loss sometimes. Whatever the tax, things that they have to pay.
Right.
Is there any percentage of risk to say, if this thing goes the way it's going, 20 years from now, 80% of the biggest fights in the world will be in the Middle East and not here. Is there a risk of that happening?
No, there's no risk of that. Look, Your Excellency understands that boxing is a global sport, and sure, he's going to promote Riyadh season. He's going to promote his country, but he understands, and he's a very smart individual. He understands that boxing is global. Boxing is, you can have a superstar from the UK like Tyson Fury. You can have a Mexican fighter like Canelo. But in order to generate the monies that we're talking about, the big purses, you have to fight in Vegas. You have to generate those dollars from the U.S. market, from the U.S.
You don't think that can change? You don't think that can change and be elsewhere? You don't think he can disrupt it to make the better argument to go over there? I mean, think about Ronaldo, right? It doesn't get bigger than a celebrity status of Ronaldo.
Sure.
Celebrity status of Ronaldo. He had the option to come here. He had the option to go everywhere. He chose to go play over there. And that was the first moment you're like, oh, shit, what's really going on here? A guy like this could go.
Sure.
So you're not at all worried about it?
I'm not worried about it, no, because I understand that that Turkey is his vision is not only to stage fights in Riyadh, but to stage them all over the world. I mean, you talk about the history of boxing, and he loves his history. He talks to me about Ali versus Frazier and how, fights take place in Zaire and fights take place in Mexico and, all over the world. So he's a man with a vision. He's a man with deep pockets. And he's a man that loves the sport. And there's no worry whatsoever. Let's make these big fights happen. More power to him.
Let's go to the fight with you and Mayweather, okay?
Yeah.
So you guys are fighting. Mark Anthony, I believe, is singing the national anthem. I intentionally went back and watched the fight again, just to watch the fight, because I watched it when it happened, but then, you want to go back and watch the fight. And, he comes out with 50 Cent. This is back when they were still friends together. And,
Yeah.
Nowadays 50 Cent is always, he's been going after him for a while now. But he comes out with 50's at his prime. Fight starts, tensions high, craziness on, what's going to be happening. First 3 rounds, I think you're up 2-3 on 2-1. The first 3 rounds, and then you have moments where at one point you're like, oh, I think I got him. And there was some real moments where you go back and look at that. There's many moments like that. Was there anything like after a fight like that where you say, 2 weeks prior to that, I partied too hard. A week prior to that, I was with those 3 girls. I should have been. I'm just making sure. I'm just telling like, hey, I was, my diet was a little bit off. Do you go back and like, I remember when Michael lost to the Pistons, right?
Right.
And you see The Last Dance, and Michael lost to the Pistons, and he went and watched all the tapes, and he says, I'm just not strong enough. These guys are kicking my ass. Or when Kobe made those 2 back-to-back air balls, and Shaq comes back and says, no, I just realized when I came out in the NBA, I was a rookie. I made those 2 back-to-back air balls because my legs weren't strong enough, because in high school, you only played 30 minutes, 32 minutes, NBA's 48. Was there anything where you said, if I would have done this, I could have beaten?
Yeah.
Was there anything like that for you?
Nothing like
Nothing.
that. I worked my ass off. I trained hard. The only thing that keeps any athlete from greatness is injury. And injury kept me away from literally winning that fight. I believe in the 6th round, I already had rotator cuff tears on both shoulders.
Is this public? Does everybody know?
Oh yeah, this is public.
Okay.
Yeah, this is public. And but no, I trained hard as I can. I was focused. I was laser focused and ready to beat the guy. When the final bell rang, as a fighter, deep down inside, if you win or you lose.
Did you know?
I felt that I won. I felt that it can go either way. I didn't feel like a loser. I didn't feel like a loser, especially when Mayweather's father came straight at me and he goes, Oscar, you beat my son.
Wait, he told you right after the fight?
Oh, yeah.
So he tells you, and by the way, he didn't even come in your corner because he wanted $2 million. You wanted to give $500,000 plus if you win, another $500,000. So you wanted to give $1 million if you win.
Exactly.
He wanted $2 million up front.
Yeah, he did.
And he still came to you and told you that he thinks you won.
That I won. And so, again, I didn't feel like the winner. I didn't feel like the loser. I felt it could have gone either way. Yeah.
Okay. So,
and funny story about that, too. We had a rematch clause in our contract. This is something I negotiated as well. We had a rematch clause. If he beats me, I get a rematch. It was a 1-year clause. Guess what he did? He retired for 1 year and 1 day.
Are you joking?
No. True story. Retired for 1 year and 1 day. Nobody knows this, but it's in the contract.
Well, was when he said he retired for 1 year and 1 day, was that public?
I believe so. I believe he admitted why he retired for a year.
This is...
it's insane. It's insane.
Floyd Mayweather Jr. said he was retiring from boxing after beating Oscar De La Hoya on split decision on Saturday. I still plan on retiring, he told reporters after winning the World Boxing. So that...
He announced his unretirement 1 day after our contract was expired.
Wait, let me ask you. In the agreement you wrote, if now you know he did this, had you gone back, what could you have put in the agreement? Would you have put in, even if you retire, you have to fight within a year?
Even if you come back after a year, you still have to fight. I would have obviously put that.
So if you put it, you guys would have had the fight.
Exactly.
So no shit. Yeah. So how often did you guys try to get another thing going? It was always no, not interested. No, not interested.
Yeah, not interested. I'm retiring. I'm out of the sport. But sure enough, a day after that contract was over, he announces his unretirement.
Was it like a middle finger to you? Like, hey, you want to negotiate?
Oh, yeah.
Like, so was it?
Absolutely.
And you knew it and he knew it?
I knew it. He knew it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who was representing him back then? Who was he?
I'm not sure. I think it was Al Heyman or Yeah, I'm not sure.
So okay, let's go back to that. Let's just say you guys do have another fight and a rematch within that year, and he kept the commitment. The leverage is now on his end, right? Because you can now do 80-20 or 90-10. Right now, it's probably 70-30 or 60-40, whatever he decides to do.
Probably would have done, 50-50.
Okay, so let's say it ends up being 50-50. What's your level of confidence that you found leaks in certain areas that you watched the tape again that you know you could have beaten him the second time?
Oh, yeah.
What were some areas where you like this?
Yeah, jab for me was always my key to win fights because jab opens the door to everything. And the jab was just landing at will on Mayweather. But the fact that I had my rotator cuff injuries, it was just impossible to throw it. After the 6th, 7th round, it was just so flared up and in pain, I couldn't lift it. And so I believe, but even if I had the rematch, I would have lost. Because physically, I was just tearing down. I was just...
Even if there was a rematch,
Oh, yeah.
you think
I think I would have lost, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
For you to be able to say that. Okay, so...
Because physically, I was not the same anymore.
How old was he? How old were you when you guys fought?
I believe he's like 4 years younger than me. 4 years younger than me. But the difference with Mayweather is that he takes care of himself. He eats right. He doesn't party. He doesn't stay out late, whatever. He has his... He's laser focused.
And you were at the time.
At the time, I started to kind of derail. My mentality was, I'm kind of getting tired of this. It's almost time to hang up the gloves.
So you're 33. You said you're.
I believe.
How old were you
I'm not sure exactly how old I was. 33,
I'm
34.
curious now. Now I'm curious to know.
But I was an old 33, 34, if that makes sense.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And at this time when you guys are fighting, age-wise, so 07, you're born, what, 73, 07?
73.
Got it, 34.
34.
34. So, got it. So even if there was a rematch, okay, so for yourself, the game, within your weight category, when you think about best boxers, where do you put yourself? Do you still, do you internally put Mayweather ahead of you?
Yeah, you have to because he's undefeated and he beat me, So naturally I have to.
Do you put yourself ahead of Manny?
Even though I don't want to, in my head, I'm the very best, obviously.
Of course.
But on paper, I would put myself, top 50 in the world of all time, And then you go, anybody can put me anywhere they want, right? But I would say top 50 in the world. Yeah.
So let's talk Ryan. How do you think Ryan's doing right now?
Yeah, he's a little lost. I think he needs some good advice. I strongly feel that, some advice where somebody has been there, who has done that, who has all the answers. I've talked to Ryan, and every single time I talk to him, he's with it. He's a nice guy. He says all the right things. He wants to fight the big fights. He says he's focused on boxing. But then I go to social media, and then everything just is different. Everything he is just, he's a loose cannon. It's crazy.
Who's in his ear? Who do you have in his ear that you think is a good influence to him?
I don't think he has good influences at the moment. Yeah.
When you were his age, do you see any similarities or not at the level he's going?
I think it's totally different. Social media has changed everything, for everybody. It's like social media, it's its own world. And he believes that world, and real life is different. And so I grew up in different times and different eras, and, my mentality is just different. So I was more in tune with reality, so to speak.
Than where he's at right now?
Than where he's at right now.
So him being suspended for the whole, the PED that he had, Devin Haney, they take the loss away.
And by the way, that was so unfair that the WBC, I guess, banned him for life from fighting for a world title.
I thought it was 1 year.
I believe it's for life.
WBC banned him
the 1 year ban was for the controlled substance from boxing for 1 year after the Devin Haney fight. But the WBC, I believe, banned him for life, keeping him from fighting for that world title.
Yeah. So, has it happened before? Was it because of the drugs, or was it because of the comments he made?
I think it was a little of everything. Yeah. I mean, obviously getting suspended for the PDs and allegedly, and the comments he made afterwards. His behavior is it's out there, and nobody can control him but himself. So I literally hope that he does get the help he needs. Because he is a good kid. I know he's not racist. I know he's not 1,000%. He is a good kid. He's it's the perfect example of too young and too much money, quickly.
By the way, when that happens with a fight, does he get paid for the fight or no? Like the Haney fight, does he lose all the money for the fight?
No, he gets paid for the fight.
He still gets paid for the
there's
fight.
a fine that you must pay back. But he gets most of his purse.
So do you think he'll be back in the ring fighting again for a championship, or no, this is done for him?
I believe he will. I believe he will. I believe Ryan Garcia will change his life for the better. I really do. I really think that this was, people say you have to touch the ground in order to lift yourself back up and become stronger and better. And I think that's what will happen with Ryan.
Yeah, I'm hopeful as well. When you're going through it, you're hoping you got the right people in your ear that are at least listening to while you're going through it. Because nowadays, how different would your life have been while you're coming up if there was social media? So imagine if the 19 to 23-year-old De La Hoya, you're doing what you're doing, and at social, everyday DMs, girls, all this stuff. Yeah. How different would you?
It would have been a disaster. It really would. I mean, I'm lucky I survived what I went through, because I hit rock bottom not once, but several times. I had so many people trying to take me down, corporate people who have Harvard degrees, people who just wanted to see Golden Boy sink. I had that left and right. And how I survived it, sometimes I ask myself, you know what? I was going up against guys who have all these degrees and they just couldn't take me down for a reason. And that reason is, again, it could be that angel, that shoulder, that I was talking about my mom, but it could also be, that I learned along the way. I got scarred early on, in business, in life, but I learned, I picked myself up. I was able to pick myself. A lot of people don't survive this. And so I'm just very fortunate that I'm able to give advice to these young kids who wanted. I'm a phone call away. Ryan, please call me. I'm here.
When was the last time you guys spoke?
We speak quite frequently, but it's been a second, and he's been off social media for a while now. I don't know if you've noticed. He's been off social media, which is great. So I'm really hoping he's getting the help.
We're on the same page because the time I've spent with him, he gives me the vibe of a guy that is going through the phase of trying to be famous, girls, partying, all that stuff. But he's got a side to him that's conservative. The attention, do I lose it? Do I go through the Jake Paul route of making money? Do I really need boxing? Who cares about boxing? Let me just go, because the question I asked him is there any pride you have to go down as one of the greatest Mexican-American boxers of all time? Do you want that? Do you want that kind of love and accolade? Or is it just the money? Because the model today with what Jake Paul is doing is out there. And he could be a guy that could go and say, hey, I want to fight Conor. I would beat up Conor. You heard some of the comments he made about Conor. If he fought Conor. He said he wants to fight Conor bare knuckles or Sean O'Malley and all this stuff. And who knows? Maybe that pays better than boxing. And if it does, you may lose some of these younger guys that may leave the boxing world. Hopefully not. We'll see what happens.
Well, in the history of the sport, if you take a look at where the most money has been generated in any contact sport, it's always boxing. There's a reason why McGregor fought Mayweather inside a boxing ring. There's a reason why Manny Pacquiao and Mayweather shattered records, historical records. And I think it'll always, there's something about boxing that people love. Mano a mano. I mean, you were there at the Mayweather fight, De La Hoya. The electricity in the air is like nothing else. I've been to Super Bowls. I've been to NBA championships. There's nothing like a championship fight.
It's incredible. Something very weird. Last question and we'll wrap up. So I saw this article the other day. I couldn't believe it. It says the 10 most difficult sports.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 10, football, soccer.
Okay.
They say is number 10. Okay. And this is by a website called Watch Mojo, and I think the research comes from whoever the research comes from here. So then number 9, they put baseball.
Okay.
Okay. You're hitting a moving ball 100 miles coming to you. Number 8, gymnastics.
Interesting.
Number 7, tennis. Okay. Number 9, martial art. Number 6, martial arts.
Okay.
Number 5, wrestling.
Yeah.
Number 4, basketball. Number 3, American football.
Yeah.
Number 2, hockey.
Wow.
You know what they have as number 1?
It has to be boxing.
Why is boxing? Why do they have boxing as the hardest sport in the world? Most difficult sport in the world.
Did they include most dangerous?
Well, I'll tell you what they said. The long popular combat sport requires an off-the-chart level of performance in more ways than one. The length of each round requires a high level of endurance, while the nature of competition demands peak power and strength. Speed and agility might not need to be quite as crucial as in some other sports discussed today, but depending on boxers' fighting style, there's still major factors. Boxing requires comparable durability to American football, but admittedly more nerve and significantly greater hand-to-eye coordinate.
Right.
Why would you? What would you say about boxing being the hardest?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good argument. I mean, I think that you take a look at MMA fighters who want to transition into boxing, they won't make it. They can't. It's you might be a champion in the UFC, but you head over to boxing, and you're an amateur boxer. That's how difficult it is. The hand-eye coordination, the footwork, the ring generalship, the training is just brutal. It's 24/7, diet, sleep, rest. You know, you're training, you're doing weights. It's a 24-hour, 7 days a week type of job. And in boxing, if you don't start at a young age, you will not develop that hand-eye coordination that is required at the highest level. That's just the bottom line.
You know, has there ever been a boxer that went to UFC or no?
No, we're not that stupid.
Right off the bat, no hesitation. Yeah. Well, Oscar, this has been great.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, I learned a lot of stuff. I had no idea, by the way. Some of the stories you told me, like the 1 year and 1 day. Are you kidding me?
Well, the funniest story that I haven't told you is, so 92, I win the gold. Don King called me, Bob Arum called me, but this gentleman calls me at home in East LA. My father was the manager at the time, and he goes, "Son, this man wants to take you to Vegas, and he says that you're gonna fight for him. So go with him, whatever." I'm 19. He picks me up in a helicopter. Okay, I meet him somewhere. Takes me to Vegas. We stop for gas. Takes me to Vegas. We're hovering over the desert. This is 1992. We're hovering over the desert here at the Strip. There's no hotels whatsoever. It's Mr. Krikorian. He's telling me, "Son, I want to build you MGM right here."
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Mr. Krikorian.
Wow. Yeah. And do you know
he was a huge fan.
Man, he negotiated. He negotiated till I think he died at 98. Yeah. And he had a $10 billion net worth, I think, give or take, when he died. And he gave $1 billion to Armenia. But that guy, in the business world, he was a legend. Yes. In the Armenian community, he's the GOAT when it comes down to business. But his name is all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Oh, my gosh.
I didn't know he started off as a pilot. He used to fly.
And he was a fighter.
Seagull. Yeah. And he used to fly all these mobsters back in the day.
That was his first business.
That's right. And he turned into an airlines, and then boom, he bought what a great story. I've never heard that before. Interesting. Well, Oscar, great to have you on. This has been a blast, and
thank you.
I'm sure we'll do it again in the future.
We will.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks,
Take care, buddy.
Yes.
In these uncertain times, if there's anything we need people to believe the future looks bright. So if you've heard about me saying this mission to you, we're on a mission to get 1 million people to wear this gear, and this is what we're doing. If you buy one of these hats, there's a category of buying one hat, getting the second one free. If you haven't yet worn this gear publicly, go ahead and test it out. Buy some of the gear, wear it in public, and see how many people will stop by and say, you also watch Valuetainment? You also follow PBD Podcast? I do too. Place your order. Go to vtmerch.com, click on the link above or below, place your order, and represent the VT and the PBD Podcast gear.